We're now live. All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome to episode 19 of Cast in Shadows. I am Mando, Merc, joined by Cam and Paulstein, and we are going to talk about. What do you guys want to talk first? The Theaters of War thing or the FPS stuff? Since we were already talking about that.
Yeah, we can talk about Theaters of War since that's going to be relatively quick.
Okay, so yeah, real quick, just so Theaters of War, for anyone who has no idea what we're talking about, is a game mode for Star Citizen, specifically for Star Citizen Star Marine game mode, where it's essentially like a battlefield type objective based, what's face like team deathmatch type thing, and you got one team trying to, but it's using Star Citizen's tech, so this way it's not just okay. Here's a map. It's no, here's a planet. You guys are now on the surface, driving up, and the other team's got ships, the other team's got vehicles, and the other team's got anti-vehicle weapons and such, and you gotta destroy some things, kill some guys. Then you move on from the planet to a satellite in orbit and stuff like that. They introduced it, 2019? CitizenCon of 2019, I think it was?
Somewhere on there.
So, so that's when they introduced it, and we were supposed to be getting it later that year, if not early 2020. But it's been delayed so far. We don't know when we're getting it, but we did get an update recently. So CIG is now partnered with Firesprite, and announced, and they're now working on Theaters of War together. So apparently, the Firesprite collaboration with CIG on Theaters of War began in early 2019, and since then, both have worked together to design and build this using Star Citizen's technology. Playtests of the game mode are ongoing, with further online closed community tests scheduled for this weekend. So, now. CIG and Firesprite have publicly announced collaboration on the upcoming Star Citizen multiplayer mode. Yeah, it's cool. I like this. I like that we're seeing CIG actually, we need to go to other people to make this, because it kind of shows, hey, we don't know what we're doing, and we're not going to be arrogant and stubborn assholes saying, oh, we know what we're doing. Oh, we can do it anyway. It's not like a lot of other game companies that we know that say, oh, we'll deliver A, B, C, and D, but they don't know how to deliver B, C, or D, and they barely delivered on A.
I agree, but I'm worried about their history, CIG's history of picking bad choices for that. I agree with you.
Oh yeah, because turbulence.
They're choosing somebody. They're opening up and trying to choose somebody, but they have a history of making bad decisions on who to go with. It always seems like they want to deal with shady or kind of, pardon my French, half-ass entities. And I would point to basically there's been no project that they've started that has come to completion with an outside source.
Well, when was the last time they went with an outside source? I thought
Turbulence was the last one.
Turbulence, and then there was also the camera people that we still haven't seen a camera from.
Oh yeah.
They're with the joystick.
But the difference there is that that's a physical real world entity we're talking about. Like the camera,
right,
I mean, like a physical.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about just the partnership in general. They went to an outside company and they went with a bad choice of that company.
But we don't know necessarily it was a bad choice. Just we haven't seen anything from it yet.
Right. I'm just saying their past history has been bad choices. So that's all I'm getting at. Is I agree. I like that they're going out. I just don't know anything about the Sprite people. Are they a good choice? Are they looked upon by the community as good developers? I don't even know. Are they developers? I don't know what their specialty is. Blah blah blah. I'm just saying. Star Citizen has made bad choices of who to work with in the past. I hope that doesn't happen this time. That's all I was getting.
True.
No. Right now, it's currently being tested in Evocati, so.
Well, that's good. I think that'll help, because they'll get immediate feedback on whether things are working or not.
But yeah, for anyone here, like they go into the detail here, saying Star Citizen Theaters of War mode is a PvP a multiplayer experience first unveiled since 2019. Okay, so I was right there. Gameplay features intense, large-scale, team-based skirmishes between attackers and defenders across multiple phases of combat on planetary surfaces and upper atmosphere, and final orbital assault on a space station.
And I will correct myself. AMD and their partnership with the giving away the free was it like motherboard or something like that and the ship. That wasn't.
No, it was Intel
experience.
and it was an SSD.
There you go. Yeah.
Well,
So
no,
that
was
wasn't
an
a
AMD
bad
one, and then there was a separate Intel one. The AMD
Whichever
Oh,
one
there
it
was
that had
two?
the-
Okay.
That you got the specialized ship with.
Well, there was an AMD Mustang, and then there is a Intel Saber.
The Saber Raven.
The Saber one. Okay. So, anyways, all I was saying is I correct myself that not every single one of their joint enterprises has been negative.
Yeah, I'm just I'm not saying like a CG, just in general, it's good to see, hey, look, we don't know, we don't have any experience with this type of thing, and we don't want to just, try it and then like it's not going to work. Because CIG, like, Cam and I have gone, we've gone to length in terms of like the missions and the style of missions in Star Citizen right now, and how they're kind of lacking that multi-objective based pull that missions usually need.
Yeah.
They're kind of just, for the most part, go here, do this, you're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
well, I do remember hearing, I think it was on the leak server, that, and I'm not sure if this was in 3.13 or just if they just found it in the files and we're not sure when it might be implemented, but like the 890 jump hijack mission, which most of us have done here. So for those who don't know what that is, there's an 890 jump ship, which is a luxury super yacht. Bad guys are on it. You pretty much just go in, insert into the ship in your preferred way, clear out all the hostiles, just shoot them in the face, and that's it. And don't shoot the friendly security if any of them are still alive. That's it. That's the whole mission. I believe
it's fun, but yeah, that's it.
It's fun and it pays pretty well too now. It's like 45K if you're doing it solo. But it's still pretty much just you run around, you shoot some people, that's it. But I remember hearing about, and I don't remember the exact details, it's been a while since I saw it, but there was essentially a proposed update to it that was being found in the files that would add on to it, that you would be either like rescuing or kidnapping some kind of a high value target or very important person from the ship, implying that it would be using like the body dragging mechanic. Like you would have to drag this person back to
well, then they need to fix
ship
that.
and extract them.
Because right now when you body drag, you drag for like 2 feet and then you just drop the body, even though you didn't drop it. Yeah.
Also,
that's good.
How well does body dragging work in 0G, if at all?
You might just have to use the multi-tool, tractor beam.
Yeah, at that point. Or alternatively, too, it could be that you had dragged them to a certain part of the ship and some scripted event takes over, and like you drag them to one of the escape pods and that's it, or something. Who knows?
Yeah. Also, I can understand for a lot of the multi-objective stuff in Star Citizen does require gameplay features that aren't in yet, but not all of them. Like, you can still do stuff with what we have, and
oh yeah,
I feel like that they don't like,
and
it's not. And this is nothing against CIG. Just that if they don't know how to do it, that's why I'm glad. Okay, they're going to people that do know, or hopefully do know, how to do this stuff because they have experience, whereas CIG doesn't.
You guys think that the reason we only have the basic body drag is because they haven't developed it further, or maybe the opposite is that they haven't done the body animation?
So like because I want fireman
stuff.
carry stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Like there's so many different aspects of that dragging mechanic that it can branch out into, but we don't.
And they've also talked about it too.
Why.
They've talked about fireman's carry type body dragging and stuff.
Yeah, that would be pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if
I haven't heard anything
haven't
though. No.
developed it, or they just haven't green screened it yet.
So something tells me they probably have green screened it. It's just they're probably busy doing other things. If I had to guess, I don't know. So, but the article does, going back to the whole Fire Sprite thing. Sean Tracy is saying, thanks to the talented team at Fire Sprite, we've managed to work closely together to bring significant improvements to Star Citizen's Theaters of War mode, and as a result, benefit key aspects of Star Citizen and Squadron 42. And I can't wait for players to see the progress we've made together during future playtests. And then also we have Graham Ankers, the managing director at Fire Sprite. Oh, by the way, Sean Tracy, the technical director at CIG.
And he's got massive background in Theaters of War style.
He's pretty much like the head guy of Theaters of War, yeah.
Yeah.
At CIG. But I guess his counterpart at Fire Sprite is saying, we're so excited to be able to convey what a privilege and pleasure it's been to work closely with Cloud Imperium Games and develop Theaters of War from the kernel of an idea into a full-fledged experience. I want to pay tribute to our strike team here at Fire Sprite, who have worked really hard behind the scenes in close collaboration with the talented creators at Cloud Imperium. So it's pretty much just them kind of going, PR talking, I'm glad working with them, I'm glad working with them, and stuff like that. But overall, again, I'm kind of, this isn't like CIG exclusive. Like, if you have a studio, like, if CD Projekt Red, went to a different company, say, hey, look, we need, help making Cyberpunk because we don't have experience in this type of thing, that probably would have made the game a bit better than what it is.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm just like, because it's just, sometimes human stubbornness and arrogance, sometimes you think, I can do it, I know how to do it, when you have no fucking clue what you're doing.
Ego.
Thank you.
Never heard of her.
But yeah, so moving on, we also have the character tech team, AMA. So here we got a lot of questions answered from the AMA here, and this is not where it's. Here it is. Okay, so they're talking about like different character stuff like beards and layered armor. So for beards, they said beards and other facial hair are planned for the PU. However, there are many things to do before it. Layered armor, there are no plans for this. So I guess layered armor, I guess like armor on top of armor or something like that.
Yeah, or things like having, okay, I've got my civilian clothes on, and then I
that
put
too.
on, or rather, a better way of putting it would be, I've got my light armor on, and then I put a trench coat on over that.
Yeah.
Now, they might have armors that have a trench coat option, but that would be separate from any trench coat you would be wearing.
You won't be able to like just, I have a trench coat
regular-
and I have armor, I'm gonna just put the trench coat over the armor. You can't do that.
Yeah, which I can understand it. It's unfortunate, but oh well.
Well, backpacks have exterior slots with physical content. Yes, we are planning to have having physical components on backpacks. So that's actually pretty cool. That means you can actually like add shit to your backpack. And backpacks themselves are going to be separate like attachment entities to armor. You're not going to have to just buy armor that comes with a backpack in the future. The backpack itself will be something you can attach to your armor.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you can have an attachment with attachments on it.
Yeah.
Status on being able to remove and put on our helmets in game. So, like, what's the status on being able to take off our helmets the way was it Jeremy Lee, right? The head concept artist at CIG showed off in that video where he's like taking off his helmet, and they did the editing where it's like he put his hand on the helmet, and it appears on his head, which is not how they're doing it. They're actually gonna have a full animation where you take off the helmet and put it down.
Showed that, I want to say it was like, what, 2017?
2019. 19.
19?
Yeah. So the answer for that was, we are currently in the progress of researching this.
The one where he actually physically in game takes his helmet off, puts it under his arm.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was earlier than that.
No, it was
I
2019.
think they showed it off at pretty much at the same time they were showing off the Carrack. So yeah, we're doing 2019.
It was 2019. It was that 2019 CitizenCon was like a boatload of information, all in good ways.
Yes. Oh, I will. I was about to go into the FPS stuff, but not just yet.
No, we'll save that for a bit. Better ethnic hairstyles. So that's one of the questions. Like, will we get like different types of hairstyles and ethnic type of hairstyles, like depending on your ethnicity? And they responded saying, "This is something we want to do." So that's actually really cool because I like that. I like that we're not just gonna get some, random hairstyles. We're actually gonna get hairstyles dependent on the type of skin tone and person that you're creating, which I like because this way it'll make sense.
Yep.
What is your top priority regarding character art? And the answer was quality.
Okay.
Yeah. These are pretty much like the really summarized versions of the answers. So it's a part in that they're very, very because the full answers are like 3 paragraphs long.
Yeah.
So another one was, will we have UEE uniforms? The short answer here is we don't decide what uniforms the players receive, but the guy that answered this question did say he worked on some military uniforms on UEE.
But as I recall, it isn't the lore that we are not going to be allowed to have to be part of the military. Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So we the individual cannot join the organization. That does not necessarily mean we cannot wear the uniforms of said organization. Because
it just means you're not going to be part of them.
I'm a pirate, and I'm trying to infiltrate a UEE military-controlled area where civilians can't go. I, grab some guy, knock him out, put on his uniform, and I'm going like, okay, I'm just walking around. I'm just one of the UEE. That would be a legitimate thing to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and just for anyone watching, no, you can in Star Citizen you cannot join any NPC-run organizations in the game. Like so, the UE military, like the local law enforcement or the galactic law enforcement, any of the in-game crime organizations, you can't join those. But you can join any player-created organization, and that's why those exist.
Yeah.
However, that being said, you can essentially the NPC run organizations, like the official type organizations that CIG creates, that are run by NPCs. Those you'll be able to have like an affinity with and kind of work with them similar as you would like in an RPG type game, where it's like, okay, you're not a member, but you do a lot of freelance work for them to the point where you're their favorite freelancer.
Yeah, so it's like, I think some of the examples they were using, at least when they last talked about it, was things like, hey, hey, you've been a huge help to the UEE, and we see you've got your own Idris. Hey, we're going to go and let you buy this spare Idris railgun we've had lying around. We don't really need it here. We'll let you buy it, and we can give you a slight discount on the sticker price for it. Or things like, hey, you're a friend of us. We're gonna go and let you if you need like repairs, resupply, stuff like that. We'll go and let you be serviced at our military platforms, and we'll give you a slight discount.
You're a prime subcontractor.
Yep. Also, it's so weird. I had to okay to Helium29's "Good to see you, Cast in the Shadows" comment in the chat right now. Like YouTube prevented that from being seen by the chat. I had to okay it. That's weird.
Weird.
Good to see you. Like, what's wrong with that?
Everything. How dare you?
It's toxic and racist. Okay.
As is everything.
Okay, so the next question was procedurally generated clothing and armor. Like, will we have procedurally generated clothing and armor? And the answer is a system for NPCs using spawn closets is in the works. In addition, we are expanding the ship tinting system onto the characters.
Which doesn't really answer that at
No.
all. Like based on like color versions, kinda, sorta, but it really doesn't answer that question at all.
Not really.
I saw that when I was just sitting there, I'm just like, huh?
Yeah, right.
But whatever.
All right.
Star Citizen Alpha 3.
Sorry. Next question was, it's been said that there are problems with creating tattoos. How do you plan to solve these? And there was an issue with the decals, with the decal use, which would exponentially increase, with exponentially increasing material counts. We are still trying to solve this challenge. So pretty much it was like, okay, now there's a way, like it just increased the amount of assets in the on the character.
Yep.
I guess.
So, in other words, they use too much memory and resources.
So they're just they're reworking that to see how they can do it where it's actually optimal. But they're still gonna have tattoos and shit. That's still gonna be a thing.
Now, what kind of tattoos? We have no idea.
They also did mention something about tattoos on armor. Like you can have like decals on your armor too. So it's not just gonna be on your player, like not just on the person, but also on the person's armor.
I would love to at minimum, I want to have at least like a primary, secondary, tertiary color choice on armors, and then ideally I'd like to have just like a hex value or something like that you can choose from. At worst, just like here's a wide range of, red, blues, greens, browns, blah 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 blah. The whole kit and caboodle. I want fucking option. I want all the options in every conceivable way.
More detailed art such as tattoos, diffuse details are required, which provide a fuller colour and detailed spectrum. The challenge with this is they are
Somebody's
protected
hot
through
micing.
UVs. Or...
Yeah, I was playing the board gamer thing just because he did a video on it, and he actually he does the full answers that which are definitely more helpful than what these answers are. But these were part of like that little announcement that the CIG bought on Discord. And also the link doesn't, like, it's annoying because I'm on the fine. Oh wow, that is a long. This is literally 7 paragraphs long. Right, so let's see. I've read backpacks, read that. Armor, tattoos. Oh, will we be able to equip sections of our armor separately? So there's because right now armor split into 5 segments. You got arms, legs, your core, your chest, torso, and helmet. So people are asking, can we be able to have like asymmetrical armors? Like I want this arm and that arm, and each of the limbs is essentially being separate. Do this? They said no due to technical issues. Which honestly, I'm fine with. But it does suck a little bit because this way you can't do like asymmetrical armors. But then again, based on how they went into the armor system and the armor archetypes back in 2019, with how armor is going to work and how each type of armor, given how detailed armor, like behind the scenes armor stats are going to work, I can understand why that would be causing technical issues. What major tech or pipeline improvements are you most excited for? We are implementing a Substance Painter and Substance Designer pipeline for surfacing to allow for 3D painting while being able to visualize the final look of the character simultaneously.
This talk of armor too, not to segue too much off, but I was reminded, I saw some posts people were talking about because of these videos that were coming out. One of the things they were thinking of a couple years back was a attachment system for armors, because they were showing off, like everyone's looked at the Star Kitten helmet, which apparently I believe there is now a helmet in the game files that some of the data miners have found labeled like the Star Kitten helmet. And it was like a dust up helmet that literally just had.
It had an attachment. Yes, there's a few of those.
So I would love it if they did have a system like this where it's like, okay, here's the base armor, but then if you want to get attachments, whether it's night vision stuff, whether it's scanners or other like mission type gear, whether it's just different types of frills and doodads to make the armor look cool or tactical or like a fucking cat or whatever it is you want. I think that'd be a pretty fucking cool system.
Okay, so here, I found all the length, some not lengthier answers, but definitely more detailed answers. So one of the questions was, are y'all committed to making good black hairstyles available besides just afros and braids, such as high top fades, curly tops, and waves? Tired of my character looking like he permed his hair straight like it's the 50s. And CIG answered, while we haven't had the opportunity to implement any of these hairstyles just yet, this is definitely something we want to do, and it is very important to us. We want to make sure we achieve a good representation of these types of hairstyles. Definitely a more detailed answer than the ones I was reading before. Like here, will backpacks also have exterior slots with visible content, just like armor? Like right now, if you equip a magazine onto your armor, you see that magazine on your armor, like on your belt. And to that they replied, yes, we are planning on having physical components on backpacks just like we do with armors. The backpack itself is actually getting treated as an attachable to an armor. So as we mentioned earlier, where it's going to be something you literally attach to your backpack.
It's pretty cool that we'll be able to hang shit off of our backpack.
Yeah, it means that if you're wearing a backpack, you got extra magazine room and shit too.
Well, and like modern day, for those who don't know, I served in the U.S. Army and the reserves. But one thing too that we've had is it's like, hey, if you're about to go and stack up and go into a room, or you're going through urban ops or anything like that, one of the things that we've done with all of our gear and shit are camelbacks. So that's our portable water source. It's like a little backpack. It has a little water bladder and a straw that goes to the shoulder. On the back of it, it's got the standard loops for attaching different kinds of gear bags and pouches and shit. Sometimes guys would go and put an extra magazine pouch or two on there, not even for themselves. I mean, you can if you really want to, just, some spare ammo sitting there, because normally you aren't taking huge packs out because you want to be moving a bit quicker if you're in actual urban areas. You don't want to have a huge backpack on you. But more for like if you're stacked up and the guy behind you is like, hey, I could use an extra mag. Whoop, there I go. It might not be for you, but it might be for the guy behind you.
Not only that, but also being able to put like a camo cover over your backpack. Because let's say you've got a generic, black backpack, but you're in an Arctic environment. It'd be cool to be able to just put, essentially a white trash bag over your backpack.
No, absolutely. Or you've got a yellow backpack because that was a standard color it came with, and you're like, well, fuck, I'm in a desert environment. I'm gonna stick out like a fucking sore thumb here. Or a winter environment, and any color other than white. So
yeah. Also here, it's a layered armor. So layered armor anytime soon. I would love to use my helmet with my regular clothing, or my jacket with my flight suit. Pretty please. And CID says, currently there are no plans to do anything like this. Our armor and clothing adhere to a strict set of rules defining how they interact with one another, such as the armor archetype system we talked about earlier. To allow for the layering of these two systems will require a major refactor of those rules, as well as just reworking the entire system. And here's a glitch that kind of shows off what people want. Or like the trench coat over your armor, as we discussed.
Yeah.
But I want to wear a hoodie underneath my armor, so I can have a cool hoodie on.
They did, however, note in one of the videos, I forgot which one it was. They had some of I believe it was the art team talking about some of this stuff. They did note that although you won't be able to mix and match like civilian clothes with regular bespoke flight suits and the armor
there will probably be armor quote unquote for civilian clothing type.
Correct. They were planning on making non-flight suit armors that you would be able to wear. So it's like you could have, for example, something like the Fallout New Vegas NCR Ranger armor, where it's like you've got a a plate carrier with a trench coat over it. Now that would still only be usable for like in atmosphere. You couldn't go out into space and stuff. There wouldn't be, even if you threw a helmet on, if you were able to somehow throw a helmet on with that, it would not be airtight, and you would be in for a very bad time.
Right.
But,
Hold on. Moving on, we got. You mentioned R&Ding new tech. Is there any tech in particular we do not yet know about, and you can tease us a little on? And to that they reply, "Sorry, I can't post any spoilers, but an example of the R&D that was done in the last 2 years is the new hair that you've seen in Squadron 42. That involved creating an in-house custom art tool to create the hair and new shader tech in the game engine." Which shows kind of like more realistic hair that they showed off. I think, again, in 2019's VidCon. The Hair Tech V2.
Pretty much everything for Squadron 42 is showing off some pretty decent hairstyles and stuff.
Yeah, which we don't have that system in the PU yet.
Also, I think they've confirmed that there's no longer a tier level to the graphics. Like there's no gold standard or tier 1. It's now everyone is the same across the board, which I think is pretty cool.
Nice. Let's see. Good morning, character tech team. What is the current status of being able to remove and put on our helmets in game? We are currently in the process of researching how best to handle helmets. There are a lot of dependencies from the artwork and the animation to the UI. Once we have all the dependencies defined, dependencies defined, we will begin refactoring all of our previous assets and utilize new tech. So I think it's a tech problem, probably. Clearly.
Yeah, as it always seems to be.
Yeah. Star Citizen, damn it. Are there plans for deeper customization options like sliders for each facial feature? DNA blending system is great, but sometimes you just want to fine-tune a specific feature. As a general answer to this and other PU character customization related questions, we acknowledge the fact that the current PU customizer is limited in terms of usability and choice, i.e. face options, hair options, beard options, and other things, because it lacks beards. It can be considered a V1 of the system, and wherever there's a V1, there's likely to be a V2, and if it's like anything like the planet, we're gonna get like a V4 and V5. When it can be put on the schedule. The current PU customizer uses a very old system for drawing and interacting with the UI elements, since the new building blocks wasn't ready by the time the V1 customizer was implemented. As a result, we didn't get the interaction model to be as easy and intuitive as we wanted. The quality of the assets in there is not up to the same standards we can achieve internally right now. So yeah, it's not using like the V2 hairstyle we just talked about and stuff. We're still using some of the older stuff in the PU. Is there new hair tech coming to the PU? Hair tech is coming. Support. Cool. Simple question. Can you tell us anything about the progress on alien characters? Once again, sorry, I don't want to post spoilers, but as you've seen with the work we've done at the Van Duel, I can say our character artists are always excited to work on creatures and aliens. And for anyone who hasn't seen what the Van Duel looked like, damn. Ooh, this is a good one. Any update on the Hollow Skull helmet blocker? So you guys remember those helmets that had like the holographic skull inside the helmet? It was like that open visor helmet, but instead of your face being there, it projected a holographic skull in the helmet.
Yep.
So that's what this question is talking about. The initial blocker with the hologram helmets was related to the shader's original design, which was built for static objects or RTT projections. We tried it on the skin files, and it was unable to animate with the character's skeleton and rig. We decided to take the shader back to the drawing board and ensure it supports the needs specific to the characters. So pretty much, tech issues, it didn't work. We need to go back and try it again.
Yeah, I think RTT is like really heavy on processing power as well.
Yeah.
Probably don't like that for a multiplayer environment.
Well, they also, CIG in general just doesn't like it. Or for instance, even lighting, where it's like, okay, this takes too many lights to get this type of lighting environment that we want. We need to rework this to use the minimum amount of lights to get this lighting because it's taxing the system and the performance and stuff like that. That's what they did with the Caterpillar way back in like 2.6.3. Like they reworked the Caterpillar's lighting system even way back then after it was just introduced because they didn't like it. I believe it's been said there are problems with creating tattoos. Do you have any ideas on how to overcome those problems? Do you face the same difficulties with badges for clothes and decals for armor, gear, vehicles, or would those offer different problems? There are two types of decals on our character shader supports: stencil decals and diffuse decals. Stencil decals work similar to real-life stencils. Think screen printing or stickers. Stencils do minimal color with a mask to determine where the color is visibly projected. For more detailed art, such as tattoos, diffuse details are required, which provide a fuller color and detailed spectrum. The challenge with this is that they are projected through the UVs onto the skin diffuse texture. This diffuse decal system requires material variants to support the extra texture slot. This can exponentially increase the material counts. How to minimize physical material variance is a challenge we are continually trying to solve. So pretty much again, it's like too many assets, too much, to the point where your character becomes so like just your character on screen becomes way too taxing on the system because it has so much going on. Which would be funny. I kind of want to see that.
Is going to have their own unique tattoo that covers their whole body.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm assuming that you're probably going to have that at some point, where you can have full body tattoos, and to the point, and at the current system, that'd be like, okay, now you're going to have it 2 frame rates because your entire character is taking up your performance in third person.
I'm going to be covered in zeros and ones.
Yes.
You can only accept this mission if you get a full arm sleeve tattoo.
And it has to be ones and zeros. 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 0 0 1 1 0.
Well, I mean, it's going to be in the future, so I want my tattoo to be a hologram.
Hey, that would be cool, actually.
What if you were the hologram and the tattoo is the only thing that's real about you?
I am the tattoo.
I want that to be a glitch. I want that to be a glitch when we have holographic tattoos.
It inverts you completely.
Yeah. What major tech or pipeline improvements are you most excited for to improve your work? The authoring of character assets uses a combination of traditional sculpt and baking for normal maps with a shared PBR material library to define the surface of the character using blend masking texture techniques. The authoring... Do
you have this translated in English?
No.
Sorry.
Sorry, but pretty much, yeah, it's just... You know, they're talking about, this is pretty much just the behind the scenes, like, the background tech for a lot of the, tattoos and art and customization stuff. Like substance painters and substance designer pipelines, which I think I talked about that I'm calling it the dumb version of what I'm reading now. Where it just answered questions in such a vague way where it's like that's not summarization, that's just not good. Like this is detail and I like it, but it's a bit long.
Yeah.
Personally, I've been recently
would do more of this detail stuff.
Alright, so it's just answering questions there. What lessons have you learned from players using the current character creator? How did they compare to your original assumptions, and how will they change? What you do going forward? We learned how important the heads are that make up the pool. The initial selection of heads were arbitrary without taking the customizer into account. Once the customizer was fully functional, we quickly learned the importance of having a variety of shapes since the customer allows interpolation between DNA head shapes, example ears, eyes, nose, etc. Having a bigger DNA pool has necessary benefits. The more heads, the larger the variety options between the heads. So yeah, and we saw that recently because they changed up the lineup of the heads we can use for customization. Will we be able to equip armor for our left and right arms separately? So this was that question where it's like right now the armor, and yeah, this one's pretty much the same answer as before, where it's like, yeah, armor is currently broken up to 5: core, arms, legs, hands, and helmets. There's no armor asymmetry due to increasing customization further can cause both texture memory and draw call implications, which we decided to avoid for performance reasons. Oh, I thought it was gonna be like a status thing for when they get armor stats into the game. Like, okay, this armor is good against ballistics, now your right arm is good against laser and not good against ballistic type thing. Cause problems. Here's the question. What is your top priority at the moment concerning character art? Do you plan to add more diversity into the character creation tab? If so, what can we expect in the coming year? So I can tell you that my top priority in regards to character art is quality. When I build a character, I'm always trying to push myself in terms of quality and set a good example for the team. So that's pretty much why before I just said quality is the answer. Can we have Navy and UE uniforms, please, and berets? Unfortunately, I don't decide what uniforms the players get in the PU. I can say that I've worked on a few UEE uniforms, and I liked working on them a lot. So yeah, it's probably going to be like what Cam said, where we can steal a uniform and use it. We know we can steal a Microtech scientist uniform from that mission they showed off in 2019. But aside from that, like, you're not gonna, again, it goes back to the whole, you're not able to join these organizations, so you're not going to be able to get a uniform that way. You'll have to steal it, or loot it, or just find it on a corpse or something. Procedurally generated clothing and armor. A procedural approach to spawning NPCs built on loadout and modularity using a system called spawn closets is in the works. In addition, we are expanding the ship tinting system onto the characters to allow for color palette customization. So, I guess yes is the answer to that. Like, yes, but soon, TM would be the English answer. I have to scroll down to find these questions. Rather.
No.
Also, welcome, Data.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Where the hell is the rest? Oh, there's. All right. Well, back to the stupid version. Read that. Equip sections of armor separately. Read that. Okay, so. Oh, so we read all the questions already. Never mind. All right, so that's the character AMA.
Yes.
I mean, so no, it's good because we got a lot of. For instance, we know we'll now get beards, which I'm glad because I want to have a goatee on my guy.
So just so you can menacingly stroke it.
Yes, like I do in real life.
So does that mean you're the evil you and they're the real you who's clean shaven out there?
I guess the good me is in the game, yeah. The one that's murdered like 1 million people. Tilm29 the chat says, well, YouTube text censors are stupid. One way I could use good to see you in reference in nationality, good to see you equals Georgians to Croatians, Ukrainians? What? It's in response because YouTube, he said good to see you when he came into the chat. And he did, like G2CU. And YouTube censored it. Like, I had to okay the comment. So YouTube censors is really fucked up.
These days, you never know what's a stand-in for those white supremacists out there.
Oh my god, Tate, I remember last week. Apparently math is now a white supremacist thing.
Oh, wait, what is now?
Math.
Of course. This makes total sense.
Specifically checking your work in math. Tilm29 also says, even though it is just commonly used as good to see you. One interesting thing about that catches my attention is Pokemon loot boxes. Oh yeah, so we'll get into that later. We got more Star Citizens.
Okay.
And Floyd Looney says that's a strange thing to censor. Indeed. But Data, we were covering the whole Theaters of War thing, and we were talking about how it's based on CIG's past. Their external collaborations with other studios isn't great,
Merc, have you seen the video?
but no. What? Which video?
The intro video for Theaters of War.
They made a new one, or are we talking about the original?
No. There's a new one. It was pulled from the game files. Let me see if I can find this one here.
Yeah, put it in the group chat then, because I haven't. If it's new, I haven't seen it.
Oh, here it is. I'm just looking right at it. So this is apparently pulled straight from the game files itself. So in Theaters of War, it's going to be advocacy versus criminals. At least in this.
As it should
May
be.
16th, 2934.
Oh, all right, so there's audio. We'll listen to it.
The date was May 16th, 2934. Early morning light settled across the long stretch of land near the Daringwood outpost on Nexus 3. The main facility, formerly home to over 600 Hathor employees, was now the primary residence for the notorious outlaw group known as the Supreme, one of the last and most violent criminal holdouts in the system. The approaching advocacy tactical team knew that taking this facility was instrumental to the overall strategy, as the anti-aircraft emplacements could fend off any kind of aerial assault. Taking those out, however, would only be the beginning of the fight. Once they've destroyed the aerial defenses, the advocacy used this as a foothold to push towards the true objective, the old orbital control center. It was through this base that the Supreme controlled an unused mining platform, perched in the upper atmosphere of the planet, capable of firing a beam powerful enough to bore into the planet's core and trigger violent worldwide seismic activity. The advocacy knew that if they wanted to make this planet safe for law-abiding settlers, they needed to seize this facility before the Supreme could turn it on.
Nice.
So that's giving us the basis for why, because it's like, okay, why aren't we just going using ships and just cruising in there? Well, if we want to take the actual control facility, they've got AA emplacements. We need to go and take out those
Yep,
first.
so you go in by ground,
we
take
can
them
go
out,
over
then the
ships.
ships come in, and
Now,
See, all
and
I
then once
heard
we've
was
taken the-
this is the attack on Endor.
and then once the control facility is taken out, then you remove them off the station itself, just to wipe them out once and for all.
yeah, and I like, and yeah, I also like. Also, you gotta remember, for anyone, just lore reasons, like this is just another example of Star Citizen's lore and gameplay kind of being intertwined in a like unseparable way, and that is Star Marine, which is what Theaters of War would be part of, right? The FPS module, where it's just your traditional multiplayer type segment in a FPS game. Star Marine is actually a virtual simulator in the universe. Like whenever you're playing Star Marine, your your Star Citizen character is playing in a simulation, and so these simulations,
You're playing a video game, essentially.
yeah, and these simulations are based on historical events in the Star Citizen universe, which is why I like this intro a lot. Here's a little bit of the history lesson of the simulation you're about to play. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And I like that you can skip it too, so because I mean for like the first 2 times it's gonna be awesome, but then after a while you're just gonna like, okay, I wanna get into the action, yeah.
I'm like, screw it.
Like, let's go! Boots on the ground. Kill. Lloyd Looney says Supreme got its start selling t-shirts with its name on them.
When you go and you haven't watched it at all, and you just skip it and go right in.
Oh god.
I do not know who I am. I do not know where I am. All I know is I must kill.
Kill your teammates.
What are you doing?
Speaking of things to do while you're in the verse, I don't know why when you guys were talking about Star Marine being inside the game, it triggered this idea that
Uh-oh.
I kind of like where they're going. Yeah, triggered. With the idea of having the lore posts be available in your mobiGlass
Yes.
while you're
Oh, yeah.
quantuming.
I like
want
that too.
more of that kind of stuff, like activities
Agreed.
that you can do that you can actually learn information from while you're doing, the nothing things in the game.
Especially since they're very, very good at doing lore posts, but with an in-lore perspective. Like it's like you look at it, yeah, it's pretty much it's lore, right? But it's in-universe lore. Like the way it's presented to you is in an in-universe way, where you open up your Moby Glass and it's like, okay, like welcome to Crusader, right? And it tells you the history about Crusader, like welcome, here are the laws, here's a bit about the planet, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I want more of that too, because when you're in long quantum travels, it gives you something to read.
Well, the other thing that I'd like to see is not so much lore. I mean, the lore is good. Yes, I want to be able to access it, but also I'd like to be able to learn stuff. So like, maybe I'm quantuming to a new system. It being able to bring up a detailed map of the city that I'm flying to, where I can actually like look at it and create a navigation plan. Okay, I'm going to land here, and then I go down this corridor, and I take 2 lefts and a right, and that'll get me to the whatever kiosk I'm trying to find. Like being able to actually do that in the game as you're quantuming, I think would be really cool.
Yeah, no, I'm hopefully, that's just the map in general needs to be updated. So
yeah, but I'm not talking like maps specifically. I'm just saying like being able to learn information in the game. Like go do research. Essentially, like being able to access the in-game internet for.
So essentially, you want Galactopedia to be in game.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm fine with that. Galactopedia, for anyone who doesn't know, Galactopedia is Star Citizen's lore, the official lore website, run and written by the lore team.
Yeah. But like, because to me, I think there's that one place where the Galactopedia is stationed out of. I can't remember what it's named. It's like a space station in one system that's a big giant data library.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is Galactopedia is an in-lore database that you can access in the real world. It is a it's a website in the real world that you can look up all Star Citizen lore, but it is in lore. It is a real thing called Galactopedia that you can look up on your Moby Glass and read stuff from. And that's another thing where it's presented like when you read a story about the lore, like it tells you the story of the invasion on Vega, right, in 2945. Like it's presented to you in lore from like a some reporter kind of perspective or something like that.
It'll be interesting too if on the note of things to do while you're in quantum, it'd be pretty cool, I think, if we were given an option like while you're quantuming to go and be able to play Star Marine while your ship is just going on. And then
it depends
a Star Marine match, and then you would be able to get alerts like warning, radar scan detected, stuff like that.
It pulls you out of the simulation.
Yeah, well, or it would give you an option like, hey, do you want to go and check that and just jump out of the game you're in right now or something?
Well, remember the Idris has the Star Marine Arena Commander simulation pods.
Yep. Well, so, and I would assume too that we would be able to go and put those in a cargo grid.
I would hope so because
if that was a option to do that.
Microtech sells them. So Microtech makes and sells them. So and you can physically see them in the store in Microtech on New Babbage. So you can hopefully you can buy them and put them in your cargo bay. Yeah, and kind of just screw around in Star Marine and long quantum travels or something.
So long story short, Brain Dance and Star Citizen win.
Yeah. Except actually done right compared to Cyberpunk.
Well, like I was hoping in Cyberpunk, like especially when they were talking about it, I was going, okay.
They talked about like you would do it. It would be an optional thing you do whenever.
No, yeah, exactly. It's like I want to be able to see like just like a short, like a 1 or 2 minute like movie or something where it's like someone who goes and does like paragliding or something like that, and they're doing like all kinds of like risky maneuvers and shit, and you're looking at it from the perspective of you being that person. That'd be pretty freaking cool to see.
Yeah, Especially since the way they talk, like, they said you need it for Intel and stuff, but it's like, okay, so I assume you pick up a brain dance, you can use your editor and go into it and try to look around for information, but it's only during scripted sequences in the game. Also,
yeah, it was kind of.
Hellum29 says, I've seen the first half of the Snyder Cut so far of Justice League. So far, I am impressed. Floyd Looney says, was the story changed or just a better edit? That there's no... Let's see. Also, we've got the FPS weapon stuff. So
Yes, that's the stuff there.
that's so. You guys want to talk? What do you want to do first? 3.13 Evocati patch notes or the ISC weapon?
Let's do the FPS weapons and do 3.13 after.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just put the footage up while we talk about it. Pretty much, we got a look at some new FPS tools and weapons. We got what was it, the crossbow, which, I mean, cool. Not my thing, but I like the variety and the choice. We got the new.
Also, too, one thing they noted is that even your handheld weapons will give off electronic signatures and shit, versus the crossbow, since that's literally just.
It's all mechanical.
It's
no
all mechanical. It doesn't have any electronic parts at all. So in terms of the signal to be giving off, if someone's scanning for stuff, you're going to be showing up as a much smaller signature compared to someone running around with standard conventional weapons. So.
Yep.
The trade-off being, of course, it's very close range compared to other.
Compared to like a ship weapon or something like, or a turret placement.
Compared to even like your standard, sniper rifle or assault rifle or stuff like that, it's going to be more akin to like something like a shotgun range.
Right. Yeah, the crossbow's gonna be short range, but it's definitely gonna be good for stealth due to the fact that it's silent. It makes no noise other than the little pew of the string getting let go, and then the fact that it's all mechanical. There's no electronics or anything that would give it its position away via scans. But yeah, weapon of choice they showed off. Weapons are equally about firearms as well as utilities. Going on about FPS weapons versus the FPS tools, and like your pyro multi-tool, right? The one where you have the mining attachment and the cutting attachment and the tractor beam.
Multi-tool.
What?
It's the Great Cat multi-tool.
Yeah, Great Cat's the company that makes it. It's called the Pyro multi.
Yeah.
And I say that because they showed off a Great Cat. I don't know what the name of it, but another Great Cat multi-tool that is a lot bigger. I call it the Mega Tool because it is like the size of a shotgun.
Well, so these are the ones that they're showing. So these are not other multi-tools. These are instead dedicated tools. So you have the multi-tool, which has all of its attachments. But if you're like, hey, okay, I've got my multi-tool cutter. And that'll go and cut small things there. But if you're like, hey, I need to go and cut something on a much larger scale, or if I more power behind it, if I need to do it for a lot longer than the multi-tool battery will last, because we are going to have battery durations here, and then you'll have to swap it out or charge it or whatever, you will be able to go and get a dedicated standalone cutter. And it's going to be the size of, I'm guessing from the scale here, it's going to be about the size of like a submachine gun or so. So it's going to be likely taking up a weapon slot for when you're carrying around gear and stuff. But the opposite is that
this is the Great Cat.
It's going to be a lot better. And same for things like salvage, same for things like medical tools. I would assume we're probably going to get one for, because they talked about salvage, we're probably going to get one for mining as well. I noticed that was conspicuously absent because they were talking about all these other things, but pretty much anything that there is a multi-tool attachment for, I would assume we're going to get a standalone tool for as well. They also showed off a tractor.
Yeah, they're showing off a tractor. I got the tractor beam on screen. This is the cutter here.
Move things farther out potentially. So essentially, these are just going to be dedicated tools that are just better than the multi-tool. The offset with the multi-tool is it has multiple options in one.
It's got
So actually pack all these.
It's got the versatility, but it doesn't have the power. Because it's smaller. Yeah. Whereas this is probably going to take up a weapon slot on your back too, just judging by the size. Yeah, you're probably on the money there with the scale. You're probably on the money with SMG size, because just looking at the trigger. I'd say it reminds me roughly. It's a little shorter in terms of from the trigger to the barrel, but it's probably around the same size as the what's your face. I'd say the Custodian or C54 SMG.
Yeah, also one thing too they noted with like the medical gun, which looks to be about pistol size.
Yeah.
But what is interesting, so there's a multiple attachment for providing medical support, but then there's a standalone.
The Cure made by Cure Life. Yeah, you got your auto injector here.
Yeah, and they noted with that standalone injector, you would be able to go and much more precisely calculate what you're injecting, what you aren't injecting, and have a lot more fine-tuned control. Whereas it sounds like with the multi-tool itself, you would just be able to just go, all right, there's kind of a patch all on this stuff that just kind of holds together until we
here's the medical attachment for the multi-tool. I'm showing that up now, but it's pretty much it's an attachment like all the other multi-tool attachments, so it's not dedicated, but it allows you to do it. Again, it's not going to be as good as the dedicated device that is solely for that purpose.
Yep.
It does look really good, and I can't wait to use these things and inject shit into your heads. Like, oh no, I'm dying, I'm bleeding out. Here, let me inject this first aid solution into your face. Okay, you're good now. Get up, back in the fight.
My eye was hurt. All right, hold real still.
On the tip of my nose, I got hit by a bullet.
Okay, no worries.
Ah! But yeah, and then we have the salvage tool, where it's a 2-in-1. It's a salvage tool and a repair tool.
Yep.
No, sorry, the salvage attachment to the mining tool, the multi-tool. Sorry.
Now, one thing too to note, they did talk a little bit more about like what salvage gameplay is really going to be, and one of the things that I think they kind of misspoke or didn't quite use the correct wordage when they were first talking about salvage. They were like, "Oh yeah, one of the base levels of salvage is going to be hole stripping, like stripping off the paint and that kind of stuff." And we were like, well, "Why the fuck would I want paint?" They kind of clarified here. In this case, it's really just stripping off the base layer of armor and material on the hull itself.
The ablative armor
in a container, and then when you repair stuff, you would then be taking what's in the container and applying that to repair and finish off, or at least roughly patch up surfaces to get you going again with these handheld tools. So it's essentially just reapplying or applying a layer of armor and whatever material this stuff's made out, whether it's ceramics or metals or whatever.
Right, whatever your ablative armor coating is.
Yep.
We don't
know with the hand tools if it's going to be a patch job, if it's going to be able to like fully repair unless stuff's just completely missing, or what level it will be. We don't know yet, but
right.
Sounds interesting.
But yeah, the Grey Cat was the salvage tool. It does salvage and repair, so hull stripping is called it.
Now, that's an interesting. I just had an interesting thought here.
Then you can probably use it for offensive purposes too.
Yeah, probably just like
or maybe not offensive purposes, but sabotage purposes, I would say. Because you're not going to do real damage, but you can do enough that it can cause some problems later if they don't notice it.
I wonder though, because they were talking about with at least the handheld tool that repair and salvage are kind of two sides of the same coin here. I wonder if salvage ships would be able to do some amount of repair work, and if repair ships would be able to do some amount of salvage work, not as well as maybe a dedicated ship for the other part, but enough to kind of get you going.
Right.
So it would be interesting if, like, the Vulture was not only a salvage ship, but also a very lightweight, very minimalistic repair ship as well. Again, this is just personal commentary. I'm just saying it would be plausible based on how they're talking about the tools here. Nothing they've said so far besides that really supports it, but an interesting thought.
Well, they haven't said exactly how salvage and repair works. I mean,
True.
Right now, if you get damaged on your ship, it doesn't really do anything. It's just a HP pool. Eventually, it's going to change. So we don't have any defined details about what the repair. I mean, how are we going to repair? Is it just like patching armor, or is it going to be repairing electrical pathways in the ship, or how is that going to function? We really don't know yet.
True. So, and one thing I will note, like with most other professions, we've got small scale ships for just about everything, at least for the major professions. But the only thing we've really got small scale for any kind of repair ship would be the Vulcan, and that's using drones. It's not actually repairing anything itself. So,
Right.
yeah.
Also, breaching charges. The bearing door breaching charge. Where it's pretty much like used on doors and other surfaces to blow things up. I mean, you need to go into detail about it. It looks cool. We'll be able to blow shit up. That's all I want.
It would be nice when we can actually lock the doors.
That too.
Yeah.
That too would be nice. I gotta
I
say,
know
I'm
everybody
liking
has
I'm
knocked
liking
off.
some of these designs that they didn't use though. Specifically, this one over here on the right, top right.
Well, I mean, then again, there's no reason to say they might not use.
True, they could have different
or
models.
have,
They could like, okay, here's the bearing breaching charge, you know, like X59, then here's the 74, right, like model and stuff like that.
Yep.
That is true. So there's no. And here's the crossbow, the Ultiflex crossbow, which is a quad-limbed crossbow. So we already talked about that with it's going to be a stealth weapon. It's not going to, but it's also going to be very limited in range.
I imagine it's
Yep.
probably going to be more of a PVE. Kind
Oh
of
yeah, I doubt.
Well, I mean,
I will rely.
guarantee there'd be those guys who they'd be like, make it like a personal task. I'm gonna sneak on this guy's ship, and I'm gonna shoot him in the face with the fucking crossbow to kill him, and then I'm gonna steal his ship.
I mean,
I'm not
look
saying
for.
it's not going to be useful. But
No,
general use is probably going to be better against NPC players than it would be against a real human.
I'm gonna have to test it against players for testing purposes, but yeah, this is probably gonna be a PvE weapon. I have to agree with you there. It's not even gonna be
we might get other kinds of bolts for it too. We don't know.
Yeah, I hope so because
really
we
interesting-
know we're gonna get different types of ammo. Like we're gonna get. I think right now what all the 10mm any gun that takes 10mm rounds right now is currently using 10mm hollow points. So.
Also, I know a long time ago they talked about the Herald possibly having a type of missile that essentially like went and attached itself to a ship, and that was going to have some aspect of hacking capability. So it could be interesting if that also gets refined down to the crossbow. So like you're using the crossbow to essentially like place,
like hack a computer or a door.
Gotcha.
Or something.
Yeah.
or
That'd be
even
pretty
maybe putting like audio mics so you can hear what's going
that'd
on
be cool.
inside a room.
That
kind
would
of
be
a thing.
cool.
Or to if you're trying to infiltrate an area, you shoot one over to like a dark corner or something. You have play a little chirpy noise or something like that. Get the guards to go and check over there, or even a player be like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Like a distraction
Yeah.
arrow.
Here.
Yeah.
Or even a peephole cam that lets you see, from that
Yeah.
perspective, what's inside that room.
That actually just made me think of the old Splinter Cell games, and you
Yeah.
had like the
Yeah.
little attachment that go in the underbarrel of your gun. You had like the sticky shocker, which would go and like tase enemies and knock them out. Little cameras and shit. Like, yeah. That'd be good shit.
That would be cool. Also, just to catch up on the chat here. Floating says, "I'm still on the bubble about Star Citizen. I thought I bought a new laptop and wonder if it's barely powerful. Enough to turn it to run it. It depends on the settings because Carlson, you use a laptop, right?
Yeah, and mine's pretty much ancient by today's standards. So I'd say if it's a new laptop, it can probably run it, but you're probably going to be hitting the usability wall within a couple of years.
I mean, so if you, regardless of what kind of laptop it is, as long as it's got a quad-core CPU, as long as it's got and you probably want something like i5 from at least a couple generations ago or better.
I
You want
wouldn't
to have
even. I would say more
at
like I
at
said at this
least
point.
8 gig of RAM. 16 is good. 32 is best.
I'd say
But at
16's minimum.
16 minimum.
yeah,
Absolutely.
probably, and you'd want at
It's
least
literally the minimum requirement is 16 on sites.
yeah. I'm pretty sure I've run it with 8, but that was years ago. So
Yeah.
and then you'd want to have at least about 4 gigs of video RAM as well.
I think I
As
got
long
like
as you
6
got
right now.
that, you should be able to at least run it.
Yep.
Whether you
I
run
can't
it
stress
well
this
or
enough.
not,
SSD.
Yeah.
yeah,
You have to have an
you
SSD.
wanna- I mean, you don't have to.
No,
but you're gonna
you
a
don't
rough
have
time
to,
if
but
you
it
don't.
is
You're going to open
recommended.
yourself up to all kinds of bugs and problems.
Yeah.
If you don't,
Oh yeah,
if you're
just
trying to
because
run it
stuff's
off
not
traditional.
streaming in fast enough.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
elevator doors opening and there's no elevator.
Cities are going to be the big
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
without an SSD.
Because I will know, I myself, I put it on a hard drive for
Same.
years of Star Citizen until just 1 or 2 years ago.
From
It's doable. It's painful, but it's doable.
from 2018 to 2020, I was running on a hard drive. I can tell you that it's fine. Yeah, your load times are gonna be a little slower. Things will kind of like pop in and out a lot. Like it'll take a lot longer, but it's not gonna be like you can't play at all.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind that as the game progresses and gets bigger, there's going to be more information that has to be pulled from the hard drive.
That's why I was saying he's probably only got a couple years of limited use on it.
Before he hits that
Well,
tech wall.
well, then also too though with so
We're about
an
to see a
SSD
huge
definitely,
upgrade.
but well, I mean with server meshing, with some of the interior exterior culling, so things like hey, if you're outside of a ship, it doesn't render the inside unless there's like a window there. That kind of stuff will definitely go and make it a lot less performance heavy. It might even, I wouldn't put money on it, but potentially could even drop that RAM requirement from minimum back down to 8 gig.
But
I
then
won't
I
say it would,
agree
but
with
it's
what you're
potential.
saying. But I also think that once that door is opened, there's going to be so much content that they're trying to put in that it's going to level back up to you're still
I
using
would
a
love
lot
for
of your
that to be
power.
the case, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I think 32 gigs of RAM is starting to be more common nowadays than 16. Just like, a couple years ago, you had 8 gigs of RAM, you're fine. But these days,
Right.
if you want to run just about anything and have Windows open and maybe another app or two open, you need
Yeah, you got like Discord open, you got Spotify open, you got your browser tabs open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You know,
mean, if you're going to be running Star
streaming.
Citizen, you're guaranteed that you're going to have probably the internet open, you're going to have Star Citizen open, and you're going to have Discord open.
Yep.
And probably running video.
You're gonna need it. Also, real quick, the asteroids, because this was also talked about on Inside Star Citizen this week, where they showed off the new asteroid tech, because what we have right now is dated. Like it's the old system, old tech.
I think this is just the base asteroid models. They're
all I
updating them with
care
new
about
tech.
is having they have capes so I can make a base inside.
Right, because eventually we're
That
gonna take
would be
we're gonna take Chris's Orion and mine out an asteroid, hollow it out, make our own base in there, problem solved. But here's the old asteroids.
Mine it out and then just stick an Endeavor inside it.
That works. Well, hey, exactly. I said make a base out of there. What?
Hey, look, we found a base. They go into a little bit more. Oh shit!
Oh my God, moving asteroid, because the Endeavor can fly, so it's a flying asteroid.
Well, isn't that what Test Squadron's going to be for? All those Auroras are just pushing an asteroid around?
No, I think they're gonna blot out the sun or some shit.
What sun?
I don't know. Any. Watch it be a neutron star because it's small. So. But new asteroid tech looks cool. Again, because asteroids are going to be a big thing with Squadron, given that at least we know the intro of the game takes place in the Odin system, specifically around the Coil, which is what used to be Odin 1. Planet that's now just a debris field.
Destroying planet tech win.
Desolators win.
How much would they charge for a Death Star? 2,500.
It was like 75,000 or something. Remember? You not remember that old was it that old April Fool's joke?
Yes, there have been several spoofs people have made. Of
It is
Scorpion.
hilarious.
You know, it's all fun and games until a vandal fleet comes and destroys the moon that you just bought and put up a massive settlement on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly though, I would love to see something like I don't know if you can find the clip for it, Merc, but there was this thing they put out a couple years back where it showed some people on Port Olisar or something like Port
Oh
Olisar,
yeah, I'm gonna
and
find
it shows on the screens like Vandal fleet incoming. You see people like going like, oh shit. And like running around and shit, and then you just see the Vandal fleet jumping out of Quantum, missiles start flying and shit. Like, I want that kind of shit, and then you're just like, oh shit, we got to get to our fighters to either fight them off, get the fuck out of here, whatever. But I'd want to see that.
Yeah, wasn't that the first time we saw the King ship in game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I found the clip. Yep. It's
Like,
this old,
that
like,
would
look,
just
old
be-
UI. Remember this? Oh my god.
Ugh.
Yeah, that'll be an instance where every kiosk is busy.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. You'll be having people EVAing from one strut to another.
Just
At
being
that
like,
point, if you're not
hey,
already getting in a ship, it's too late.
Yeah, well, that's what they show here. Danger incoming.
Well, I mean, if you have like a 5-minute warning, hey, our long range sensors have detected a massive fleet incoming. It looks like it's Vandal ships. Oh shit!
My luck, I'd be coming in for repairs because I'm heavily damaged, and it's like,
that
great.
trader coming in with a full load of Laranite.
Yeah, exactly.
Or better yet, Quantanium.
If you had a 5-minute heads up before they come in,
Yeah.
that'd be enough time to get the fuck out or to jump in your ships and form yourself on defensive line.
Ooh, okay, so the new rocks, the new asteroid tech, it's going to be faster to generate and much improved visuals thanks to the new tech and methodology. So that means that asteroids won't just spawn in your face and when you hit them coming out of quantum travel.
Yeah.
Do they mention anything about being able to land on them?
Well, based on did you see the footage?
No.
So they showed you like flying like real close to them enough where it's like you don't have that weird visual distortion effect. But you can't land on it yet. Not really.
Okay, so you
But it
can
is
get
better.
out and like bump into it, but they're not big enough to have a gravitational force. So you can lend your
not
ship
yet.
close to it, but if you cap it, the counter force
you aren't actually like locked to it.
Back in the day, in like 2.5, 2.6 era, you could actually land on them and they wouldn't destroy your ship. Like they were physical objects that you could interact with.
Yep.
You had to EVA around. You couldn't walk on them per se, but you didn't get damaged from trying to land on them.
Do they damage you now?
No, they haven't. I tried it relatively
Yeah,
recently. It doesn't damage you. You just get this weird distortion effect just due to how the visuals of the asteroid work, or used to work rather. Because new ones are going to use different tech for that.
Yeah, I tried landing my prospector on several of them to log out in my bed. Each time I tried to land, it would cause damage to the ship until it exploded.
Hell yeah.
I think it had to do with them the constant movement, and the game just doesn't. It can't. They don't have the mechanics in for it to figure out that your ship is, attached to this object essentially.
Right.
Well,
You got
and
a
it would
constant little bit of jittering, and the physics is like, hey, collision.
Yep.
Well, and also too, like with our landing gear, it's not like Space Engineer's landing gear or anything where it's like got some kind of a weird ass magnetic or molecular
Grippy.
lock of some kind. It's just physicalized landing gear. It's just gravity based. That's as far as I'm tracking for most ships here. So there's no real way for it to.
That's why I'm going to
without
equip
the
my
beam
ship with
gravitational
crossbows,
field.
so it can launch grappling hooks into the asteroid and attach itself.
We don't have grappling hooks yet. We've got tractor beams. That's about it. You might be able to take a tractor beam and be able to pull yourself to it. That'd be about it.
Yeah.
I have to say,
But I do.
Track
One
the
thing I-
landing feet.
One thing I hope they change in the future is the artificial gravity they have over the pads.
Yes.
I wish
Yeah.
that was like an in-hangar thing only. On a pad, it should just be out in space.
Just make them magnetic so the
Yeah,
ships
or that too,
are
yeah.
attracted to them. But when you're flying around, you don't constantly die from being 10 feet above them and suddenly having gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or make the gravity effect be
I would
proportional
say
to how close you are to it,
minimize
so it
minimize
fades the further
where
you
the
go.
gravity, like, it's because right now it's like 20 feet above the pad. The gravity's still in,
Yeah.
like, real gravity's still in effect, like the simulated gravity. I mean, they should probably reduce it. Yeah, but I do want the space landing pads to have just artificial gravity. It makes sense, especially for, okay, you get out of your ship and now what? You're going to EVA to the airlock on the station
Yeah.
when
they
there's a
talked
clear
about
like
having,
walkway
Well, I
and
mean, we
shit.
got
Yeah.
boost,
Yeah.
So,
I'm fine with the artificial
well.
gravity. I just, yeah, they need to diminish it just because, hey, it's in space.
I don't know. To me, being able to generate a gravitational field like that on a little thin pad just kind of it doesn't fit in lore very well because
well, we've
power
got it in
is
ships.
required.
We've got gravitational gravity like an Aurora, for example.
Yeah, no. I hope they change that too. But that's just me.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm with that.
That being said, we're overlooking the clearly larger issue of grappling hooks and repelling wind.
Yeah. Yes, we need repelling, especially for those caves, which Data, we need to do a video on when they come
Hell
out.
yeah.
I had an idea. I'll let you know later. A combat video where it's like, okay, here we can have people going crime in the cave or something.
Well, so did you hear about the new missions in the caves? So along with the
No.
expanded caves, there have been 3 new missions that have been data mined for 313 to go with the new caves. One of which is a assassination mission,
Ooh.
to where you're killing Joe Schmo kind of guy, just some criminal guy, put a bounty on him, or not a bounty, but an assassination contract on him. And if you kill them while the comm array is up, you will get a crime stat. And then there's 2 other ones that are legal missions, one of which is there's several bounty targets in a cave, take them all out. And the other one is just clear out all the bad guys in this cave. There's no specific target, just take everyone out.
Nice. So that
Yeah.
actually works really, really well with the video idea I had, because now we don't have to get a bunch of guys. We can just use the mission. But speaking of 313, so we have the Evocati patch notes. So features coming in 313 according to the patch notes. And we already know what's coming out in 313, but so we got vehicle names and serial numbers, ship-to-ship docking, reputation UI, object push and pull, mounted gun aiming, new harvestables, new force reactions, SDF shields, mining subcomponents, law system improvements, new delivery missions, bed pen updates. In terms of locations, we've got new cave entrances, non-commercial refinery overlays, and Stanton system polish. And then lastly, for ships, we got Aegis Gladius visual updates, ramp collision updates, and new ships added to the rental kiosks, which is good because that means we can rent more ships from different locations.
Yes.
Also, we haven't looked at the roadmap in a while. You guys want to do that, or no? Because we'll be there
we
forever.
don't have any real changes recently.
Speaking of changes, I see the. Never mind. I'm just really. Yeah, I'm zooming in 100.
See, so ship to
It's
station
loading.
docking is still tentative. All vehicles are still tentative for
So we got
313. 314, nothing is locked in yet. So no real changes, at least in the release view.
quantum sensitive delivery missions. Okay, so that's the new missions they're talking. So this way you're gonna have to be delivering stuff that are quantum travel sensitive, or like I guess time sensitive, right?
Yeah.
No, here there's your
there
time
was-
sensitive timed multi drop deliveries, and shield effects V2, which is the updated visual effects on the shields. It's not the shield hugging the hull of the ship yet.
Yeah, it's just visuals, not actual.
Which is good because I love the new visuals they're going with compared to the current visuals. Mining subcomponents, which I know Data you were toying with the other night, which were super cool. Because there's like visual effects and everything that go with them. The UI for the reputation system, which is what Cyberpunk has. Mission spawn closets, which is still tentative, which means it's probably going to be pushed back.
Maybe.
Have they said anything on it? Because
no.
Because everything else here is committed.
Never do.
I think they're going to push it back to 3.14. I've got mounted guns, force reactions, ship naming, vehicle visual degradation, every constellation owner's wet dream here, the Merlin to constellation docking, ship to station docking is again tentative. It's not committed here. Object push and pull, which like for the carts is going to be a big thing. And there's no updates here on the vehicles and ship. And all these updates we just talked about. Alright, so yeah, nothing really new. What did they say they added to 3.15? Because last week they talked about the new tools here, multi-tool salvage attachment. So that's in 3.15, and the medical gun is in 3.14, as well as the healing attachment. So that's cool. So we're actually going to get those this year.
Supposedly.
I certainly hope
I can't wait for the 0G push and pull. That's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. And
I hope it fixes the problem of you jumping out of the ship at like 100 meters a second and instantly slowing down to like 5.
Or where it's like you jump out of the ship and suddenly you're being rotated along some crazy fucking axis for some reason.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, why am I suddenly spinning all over? Like I should have a constant velocity from ship to space, not suddenly just spinning all over the place.
Or just suddenly stopping, like you jump out of the ship and you're not moving.
Yeah. Well, on one hand, yes, and on one hand, no, because we do have.
It depends on your momentum of exiting the ship.
With normal suit use right now, our suit thrusters strive to make us have 0 velocity total. So that I can understand. If that's how your suit is set up, then those suit thrusters, when you jump out, would automatically go, hey, we sense you're moving in a 0G environment, we're going to go and provide counter thrusts to that to halt your velocity, relatively speaking. So that I could see. Now, if that was changed to the point where, hey, essentially, if you were to turn off these, call them inertial dampeners or whatever the fuck you want, then you would just keep moving. When you jump out, you just keep moving in that same direction.
Honestly, I want the ability to reach like 1,000 meters a second in my suit if I choose, even if it would take me 30 or 40 minutes.
Danger! Will Robinson.
That way we can experiment with burning up through the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, you do that. I'll play the Pisces and just capture it on camera.
I'll be the one filming.
I'm sure it'll sell great in the Galactic Net.
Yeah, well, it's Spectrum, right? That's the internet and Star Citizen Spectrum. Because you always have those kiosk guys like, oh, they're not making any Spectrum shows about me. Victor Wilfong says, flashbacks to a week ago to the mention of ramp collision. Data, I think you know what he's talking about.
No, I have no idea what he means.
Speaking of which, in Q4 we've got the dynamic, so this would be 3.16, dynamic door alignment for vehicles. When implemented, doors and elevators across all ships will dynamically adjust to the terrain below them within a specified range.
Right, similar to the landing gear.
Where Cutlass be jacked up because of its rear ramp pushing its rear landing gear up into the air.
Right, because right now the way the ramps work is they open fully or they don't. You know, they won't like okay. They detect the ground. The ground is higher than the ramp's full arc, so it's going to stop at the ground. Right now, it doesn't do that. It just keep going all the way, even though it's already hit the ground.
Hopefully, also too, it'll give us a steeper angle as well. Because I know sometimes it's like, hey, I've landed my carrot, and it's like, oh, hey, there's like a foot gap or so between the ramp and the ground, and now I got to try to readjust and find something that's somewhat level. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? This is supposed to be an exploration ship. Doesn't have the ability to even tilt the landing gear a bit or move the ramp a bit more. Like, come on.
Okay, here's some known issues from the Evocati notes, by the way. UI will display 0 out of 0 active members in the audio channel even when members are connected. Players will have UEC deducted when purchasing food drink items, but will not receive the items. Client can crash when broadcasting beacons. Leaving a trolley in the doorway will clip through the floor erratically and kill players. I want to see that one.
Hell yeah.
Docking with a moving ship lags behind. Docking with a moving ship lags behind, causing a large snap into the docking position. Oh, so there's lag visually. Okay.
No, it might physically shoot in there and then destroy both ships. No.
Actor falls out of ship when exiting moving Merlin Connie. Docked Merlin enters interactions don't show when enter interactions don't show when Constellation is moving. So it doesn't show you getting into the Merlin seat when moving.
Details.
Users get stuck on searching for a match on all game modes after their initial simulation games, Star Marine, Marine Commander. So that's a bug that you have even now. So that's alright. It is possible for the player to clip through the derelict geometry and fall through the moon's surface. Oh boy.
Hell yeah.
Untextured object covers Daymar cave entrances. The player is unable to sell personal inventory using the Pembroke armor.
That's been an issue since Pembroke's come out, hasn't it?
I don't know. I haven't used its inventory at all. I've used the Novikov, but I haven't used Pembroke. I mean, I have Pembroke, but I haven't used its inventory. So, bounty hunter missions are rewarding, no reputation. I have that glitch now. The buy interaction does not appear for multiple entities. The new features, gameplay, vehicle name, serial numbers, adding the ability for certain ships to that display custom player assigned names on the side of their ships. This will appear multiple times printed on ship hulls. Serial numbers will also be shown, and all other ships will have unique numbers displayed to identify them in the universe. In this current build in Evocati, only the 600i has naming functionality on the PC. Ship-to-ship docking V1, adding the ability for the Merlin snub ship to undock with the Constellation, along with the guidance mode UI and okay, so it's just stuff we already know. Just going into detail on the features that feature updates. Cave entrances, drive-in, and sinkhole. Adding new cave entrance types to the PU. The drive-in entrance will allow players to enter using a ground vehicle, while the sinkhole entrance will require players to enter and exit using a ship. Now, that's key. You can only enter and exit using, because there's no rappelling. These new entrances will replace some of the existing cave entrances. Okay, so we're going to be losing some of the traditional caves and be getting some new ones.
I would argue that you could get into them without a ship. You just might not be able to.
I was about to say, yeah, you can jump down depending on the gravity. Like Aberdeen, low gravity. Yeah, you can do it. You're not going to be able to get out.
Hell.
So you got visual improvements for all the Stanton system, which includes updating assets, object presets, planet painting, and the global data of all planetary bodies. Degenous root harvestables, so we got new harvestables. Addition of the harvestable Degenous root, which is a macroalgae found in the shallow coastlines of Hurston. So be careful going in the water, because if you go anywhere above your waist, the water will kill you.
I saw somebody was taking a caterpillar, and he was going nose in, and he was able to get like the first 3 sections.
Right,
Cargo
because
sections.
the cockpit.
Like just before the cockpit, and then he was actually getting out, and he was able to walk around inside the caterpillar underwater, and it wouldn't kill him.
Really?
Yep, he could walk all the way up to the nose, open the door, all that kind of stuff.
I assume the water clipped through the ship anyways, though.
Sorry?
I assume the water clipped through the ship, even though it should. Like, realistically, the water wouldn't be going inside the caterpillar.
Yeah, it's clipped inside, and it gives it weird anime or animations, or what's the effects on the hull.
Right.
Like it shows the damage states, but they're like weird damage states. But the one thing that he did notice was that he could walk around inside the caterpillar underwater without dying, but as soon as he got into that front turret, while it was underwater, it would kill him every time. I'm trying to remember who the YouTuber was.
Gameplay Force Reactions Tier 2. Updates for the Force Reaction systems to add staggers that will happen based on the severity of the received force, causing a player to stagger in the direction of the received force. Distance and duration of the stagger increases relative to the received force until the force is great enough to trigger a knockdown instead. When staggering into a wall without a weapon, the character will raise their hands or shoulders depending on direction versus surface to momentarily brace and halt themselves. G-force blackouts are now experienced by players attached to something in a ship interior, usable as ladders, operator seats. All that?
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and actors in prone front or prone back. Shields V2, implementing improvements including the use of particles, signal distance field, sign distance field, CF, to allow shields to more closely conform to the shape of the vehicles. Oh, so this is the shield hugging the hull. Okay, allowing better visibility at distance, creating clear visuals cues that the shield is. Okay, so this is both. This is the visual and the tech upgrade of the shields. Mining components will allow players to customize their lasers to suit their specific jobs and encounters. Law system improvements. Update to the law system include proxy crime when one person on board a ship commits a felony, and the option to hide notifications and criminal rating updates. Option to hide notifications and criminal record tracking. Update the unmonitored bounty marker when bounty spends UEC. Update the unmonitored bounty marker when bounty's Mobi-Glass remains in use for a period of time. Marker will be updated when the bounty destroys the ship or kills an AI or player. And update marker when the bounty dies or is not arrested, though. Quantum sensitive cargo. So, addition to local delivery missions that have quantum sensitive cargo, which will explode and damage ships if taken into quantum travel. Timed multi-drop delivery missions. Addition of missions with time sensitive cargo, in which players are expected to deliver multiple packages, each with slightly varied timers, meaning players will have to prioritize which box to drop off first. So essentially, stuff we saw in Xenothreat being put into regular missions, and I like that.
Anything about removing all the visual markers of every single turret around a space station?
Why, you don't like seeing all the little white deltas on your screen?
Yeah, especially when it says it's trying to show me where to land, and the landing marker is almost identical.
Usually it's green, though. Well, at least it's green for me because it's the Cutlass HUD.
Yeah, for me
and
it's
the Pisces
usually
HUD
white.
are both green. Ships and vehicles, Aegis Gladius visual improvements. We have made many changes to updates Many changes and updates to increase the visual standards of the Aegis Gladius. This includes many level of detail, decal, geometry, material, and paint changes inside the cockpit and on the exterior of the ship. Moved ramp collisions proxies for ships to help pushables and vehicles on them. And so, that would help with what Data was trying to do to my dead body last 2 weeks ago. Removed access to Carrack and mole turrets when landing gear deployed and landing to prevent clipping issues. So, MedPen replaces the previous functionality and immediately using an FPS consumable to heal or oxygenate. MedPens are equipped by pressing the consume action, C key, well, mine is C, whatever, or by interacting with a MedPen and selecting the equip interaction. Or when selecting a MedPen from the FPS consumable, a quick select wheel, your weapon wheel, or tool wheel I should say, on self is triggered by clicking mouse wheel left. So it's pretty much, now it's not just you use it now. Now you can actually pick it up and not just immediately use it. You can drop it and give it to someone.
Yeah, they're trying to go that direction with all types of things.
Like the grenades.
Yeah, grenades and weapon clips and that's.
Mm-hmm. Core Tech user folder location change. With this update, the user folder structure has changed a slight amount. This adds a couple of extra layers of subfolders inside the original user folder compared to previous releases, and will require controls and other settings to be moved to the new location if you save custom user folders. User folder location change install -user /client/. And then we got bug fixes, fixed multiple asteroids and rocks in areas inside and out of Grim Hex, where players would clip through them and get stuck. Fixed low gravity that was occurring inside some of the underground facilities, which is probably what killed me, by the way, the other night. Players should no longer be wrongly awarded ace and killing spree when killing only 1 or 2 enemies in Arena Commander. Really? Replace Meeball should no longer be present at the Customer Service and Trade and Development Division at Area 18.
No idea what that is.
I don't either. Fixed multiple areas around seats on refinery decks where players would get stuck. Fixed multiple multiple Visa area issues around New Deal in Lorville. There should no longer be any chairs inside the tables at Grimhex. Oh, good. That was annoying. There should no longer be missing bar stools at the bar counter in Grimhex. Good. I can sit at the bar now. Fixed geometry around Miles Eckhart that allowed players to get stuck between the table and the wall. Fixed an issue causing windows and glass displays to become blurry when the player is very close to them. Then we got client crashes and server crashes. Well, fixed 1 client crash and fixed 3 server crashes. So there you go. Is 3.13 so far.
Done.
Yep. Alright, let's see. One behind on the chat. Also, so we got Victor Wolfong chat saying hello. Beijing 1 saying, hey dude. And Floyd Looney saying, that's cool, always need a good bad guy. Oh, he's talking about the Justice League stuff. We'll talk about that later. But he responded to you, call sign, saying it's a new computer, so I guess it should run it. Intel Core i7 with a 10,750 hertz CPU, 10 gigs of RAM, and a GTX 2070. So that should run the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what the storage drive is? Like HD, how much gigs are on your storage drive? What is it, HDD or SSD? Victor Wolfong says, moving asteroids would be a great weapon against planet-bound targets. He also asks, have you guys heard of Starbase? It's like if space engineers had a baby with Star Citizen and with a hint of Elite Dangerous.
I have. I've been watching that game for a while, but it's not open to testing by everyone yet. They're still building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
No, I know it's an MMO and it's space based. That's about it. All right. You really don't like those turret markers, do you?
No,
Outside.
they drive me nuts, and they're really bad during the Xeno threat when you're trying to find a quick place to land and rearm and refuel. It was a huge pain.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, no,
Everywhere.
they are everywhere.
I mean, you're talking like there's 100 markers on your screen.
Each station has what? One of them we counted had like 24.
Oh,
there's way more than 24.
Yeah,
I know
quit
one. I
counting
think
it like 50 something one time.
Oh my god.
Each pad has 2 turrets on the end of it. And then
No,
you've got
but like
range
some of the stations, like Chrysler, they have those security docking stations, like for the bigger ships, like the Navy ships.
Yeah,
So,
it's bad.
and those each have like 24, and there's 3 of those.
Yep.
It is, yeah.
I don't choose my grudges lightly.
Like 72 turrets on your HUD.
Yeah. And you're trying, and they're giving you one tiny little chevron as where you're supposed to land.
Can you imagine if your ship computer said contact for each one of those? Contact.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, we also have now this isn't anywhere as cool as the news we talked about, but Star Citizen has reached $350 million in crowdfunding.
Hooray.
So what's
So-
the crowdfund goal for that?
Let's take a look.
We each get a personal
they
computer.
earlier confirmed that
I
we'll get
wish.
pets. Now we can get pets for our pets. I'm kidding.
Tattoos for our
by the way.
pets.
No, that'd be weird.
That's animal cruelty. Alright,
Only if the pet complains.
Yep.
Don't say that's other words.
It's the future. They can talk.
I am not seeing.
Sure.
What do you think your ship's computer is?
Work computer. So it's just hamsters.
Yep, I don't. It's not showing up here.
What's that?
I'm on the funding page to see what the goal was.
Oh no, they stopped doing it.
I know, that's why I'm just trying to see what it is. But yeah, you can see how much money these guys made over the course of 8 years.
Yeah.
now.
And how many of those goals they've actually completed?
Yeah.
Which actually isn't that bad. Joking
Well, they've
aside.
completed a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like here at the 4 million mark, a new star system will be added to the game for every $100,000 pledged, with descriptions posted to the comlink. Yeah. Got 3.1 million is the Odin system, 3.2 Tyrol, Kellogg, the Goss, Orion, Ellis, Cathcart, Tal, the Geddon system, Chrono system.
Yeah, they got their work cut out for them.
Yeah. But some of the stuff here they actually did kind of get done already. Professional motion capture for Squadron 42 cutscenes. As far as I'm aware, it's done. The motion capture itself is done, I think. Definitely the motion capture involving all the actors, I think, is done. Star Citizen will launch with 100 star systems. The Bengal carrier will be unlocked for persistent universe play. Dear God. Can you imagine when that happens? Having the Bengal carrier in the game? Players using it against each other?
I want the Dreadnought.
You mean the one that shoots like little 600 eyes sized projectiles?
Yeah. Is that all? I thought it was 890 jump size.
Something like that. It shoots giant ass railgun projectiles that take on the Vandal.
Yeah. Well, isn't it supposed to be the King ship counterpart?
Yeah,
I guess.
it's supposed to be like the kingship killer.
Yeah.
Beyond the GI Scout
I
unlocked.
actually just wonder if we're actually going to see it like moving around in the verse at all, or is it just always going to be sitting in that space dock getting built?
I don't know. I know we'll be on board it. Squadron.
The Dreadnought?
I think so.
Huh. I never heard that.
Because I think it's in Squadron. I don't think it's going to be... It might be in the PU, but I think it's for Squadron, not the PU.
I thought it was only a lore thing. I didn't know it was even in the game. I thought it was just a lore post that, hey, there's this really big ship and it's over at this shipyard being built.
Well, remember, the Bengal carrier is the biggest ship a player can own, and the only way to get those is to find them.
Yeah.
Well, more specifically, find wrecks of them and restore them.
Realistically, what's going to happen is you're going to have, like, let's say if there's, say, 10 of them in the whole entire universe. You're going to have, like, 6 of them being held by the mega orcs, like the ones that have, like, thousands of people. So they have enough manpower to fully staff this thing 24/7, use it as an actual base of operations along with their main fleet that's protecting them. Those are the ones we really know about. You're going to have, like, 3 of them or so that are going to just keep changing hands, where smaller orgs will get a hold of them or find them, assault them, and take them for their own, just for it to happen again and again and again, and just keep changing hands. And you're going to have one that's just fucking lost forever.
Right. It's like you got this Bengal carrier. You slap the whole. It's like, yeah, this baby's been the solar system bike. Everyone's had her.
But like realistically, it's like if you were out, like, let's say if I was in my Carrack and I'm up exploring some godforsaken system somewhere, and I'm going around and I suddenly fucking find the lost Bengal, or one of the lost Bengal. I'm like, holy fucking shit! First thing I'm doing, bid war. I got the location on the Bengal. It's secure right now. We've got people manning it, but I'll show you the location here.
Yeah, we need backup. Send reinforcements.
At $1 trillion or UEC, go.
Yeah.
At that point, especially for the other mega orgs or wannabe mega orgs, I can pretty much write my own check.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So that's going to be why. That's why we're going to be doing a lot of exploration.
But beyond it being a rare commodity, it's a time limited one. Who knows how long it'll be before someone else finds it too?
Yeah. Or while you're securing it, someone else comes along and tries to secure it from you.
Bingo.
Oh, and don't forget the UAE trying to show up and say, "Hey, thanks for finding our carrier."
Right, and then they're going to be like, "Hey, look, we're taking this back. This is ours."
I don't know if they would do that, just because from what it sounded like, it would be legitimate, like salvage scrap. So the UAE wouldn't, at least as far as it sounds like when they've been talking about the Bengal holes, like the UAE, like if you were to fly it around and the UAE sees it, they'd be like, "Oh, you took that old thing and made it flyable again. Good for you." Not a, "Hey, we're taking that back."
Yeah, it's not
To
like
use today's modern equivalent, though, I don't think the U.S. government is going to let you go.
No, well, I was about to say, I don't think they're very clearly not using modern day salvage laws.
Yeah, no, but at the same point though, I mean, this is a universe where even the fucking ambulances equivalent are armed and have cannons and shit. So it's like it's a very different layout than modern day.
5 easy steps to turn your ambulance into a war machine.
Maybe the UE would be like, "Hey, you have to pay some registration fee or something like that for us to register the ship for you."
No, yeah, because you're literally bringing a ghost.
As being illegal or something. Like,
you're making a ghost ship into a real ship again, so you're gonna have to, register it and all that. So there's probably gonna be some kind of, like, quote unquote legal things in the game, okay, you have to pay this fine or do whatever. Okay, great. Now you have your own Bengal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much the article here is talking about how in this past November during the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo was like the best like the biggest revenue for Star Citizen ever. With $16.9 million in revenue in just that month. Like, it was the biggest, like, it was everything. Like, that was a pretty active time for Star Citizen. November, during the IAE. And can't remember having, was that during the IAE where we were flying people, like shuttling people to and from the spaceport because the elevators were broken?
Well, I think we did it twice. One was a free fly event, and then the other one.
Well, the IAE
Yeah,
is a free fly event.
Yeah, it might have been. I don't remember offhand, but yeah, I think so. I'm hoping we can get a free fly event at some point while we have a server event going on as well as like the Ninetales thing or something. If the servers could handle it, who knows? But I think that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, it's been a big. I think 2020 and so far 2021 in terms of like revenue for Star Citizen, it's definitely been pretty good.
It's been booming, so
Yeah.
hopefully we can. Hey, maybe we'll get a whole nother studio opened up.
Yeah, like the one in where's the Turbulent one? Because that's the 6th studio now.
Toronto.
Right?
Or not Toronto, Vancouver. Not
Canada.
Vancouver.
Yeah,
Montreal.
Somewhere in Canada.
Just say Canada. It's fine.
I'll just keep saying names until one of them's right.
I don't know which one is right, so I'm just saying Canada.
Yeah, no, it's
Vancouver. No, wait, Toronto. No, wait, Ottawa. No, wait. I don't know.
I forgot Saskatchewan.
It would be nice if we could get just, and I mean, I will say, from what I was seeing of the 3.13 patch here, it doesn't, like, I know like a couple of things slipped off of there, and we've still got like 5 or so items that are still tentative at this point. Although I will note though, for the vehicles themselves, they have said from the beginning that, hey, the Hercules and the Nova tank are going to be on a 3.13X patch. Those are not going to be for the official 3.13 release. They said that since like last year.
Yeah, and also even if that wasn't the case, like I didn't expect them to release with 3.13. Like it would have been cool, but that's 3.13. I'm more looking forward to like the FPS stuff that we're getting, and even the new type of delivery missions. Like here's some times cargo, because I can just do those missions just to get those boxes to use for events.
Yep. But as it is, then the only things then that are not locked in right now are the spawn closets, and then the ship to station docking are still what's tentative. And I think a couple of like maybe 2 or 3 items or so slipped off from 3.13, but you know that happens every patch. Some stuff gets pushed back, stuff gets rearranged around. So as it is, I would say 3.13 is looking decently strong as a patch. If we can
it's hard to believe that. What did we lose? We lost like maybe 2 things from this patch.
I think there was
2 things were pushed back. I think.
I don't remember.
I'm gonna check because I'm pretty sure only like 2 things have been pushed back, which for usually that is not like that's little.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Like,
only 2 things.
It would often be expected for like 5, 6, 7 things to get pushed back sometimes. And it's just like, oh. And especially for what we're seeing. I think like hacking tier 0.
Let's say hacking tier 0. Yeah, some of the gameplay stuff was pushed back. Hacking tier 0, and I want to say even healing. No, that wasn't in, was it?
No, that was not in.
Personal inventory. That was it. That was the other one. Personal inventory.
Where did that move to now?
3.14, both of them. So they're still coming out this year. It's just they got pushed back a patch, a single patch, which again is rare. Like that's awesome. Migrating legacy vehicle XMLs to data core.
Well, because also I will note, so for the personal inventory card in 3.14, what it's saying for that right now is, when implemented, players will physically store weapons, gadgets, consumables, healing items, and more on their person and in vehicles via backpacks, pockets, and containers. This utilizes the new iCache for persistence wherever players travel. So,
Which means I'm gonna have to
one-
get some underground bunkers to store all my weapons because I'm now closing in on
Yeah.
500
well,
on
so-
just
so one implemented-
SMGs.
Yeah, so one that's saying that it's using iCache. So it's actually saying, hey, we should be seeing at least some form of iCache in for 314, is what that's saying. And two, I'm wondering, and it doesn't really say it here, but when they were talking about, they had a video a couple weeks ago where they were talking specifically about what are the next steps for physicalized inventory, what needs to be done for that. And they were talking about how not only are you going to have for your person, so it's like, okay, you've got your personal inventory, what's it, all the pockets and any storage on your gear. You've got your backpack, which they said the backpack is an external inventory from the gear itself. Then you've got the ship, and then from the ship you then also have your hangar and your habitat if you're on some kind of a civilized planet where you have a hab rented there. These are all places where you can store things. It doesn't say it in the card there, but I'm wondering if that's going to include that, because it notes both personal inventory, so like your armor shit and ships and vehicles. I'm wondering if that will also include then your hangar inventory and the hab inventory. I don't see any reason why it would necessarily exclude us. Don't get it done. Like, hey, let's just release what we have. But if so, that would be a major step then for being able to store things. And it's like, hey, I've got 500 SMGs here. Let me go store them all in my fucking hangar. Boom, there you go. So
Yeah, and it's gonna be. That's what I'm gonna love is like the physical inventory. It's gonna. Yeah, I know I have so much stuff, but I'm so looking forward to it, and it's gonna be so much fun. Again, it's gonna be in like, okay, everything will be physicalized now in the world, and it also means, again, iCache is gonna be in to an extent. So like you can have something where, oh crap, I left a machine gun on the surface of a Clio, orbiting Microtech. I need to go back and get it, and you can go back and
You
get
heard
it.
about Mark Abbott's comment about iCache, correct? Apparently, when I want to say this was 2 weeks ago, when Mark Abbott and a bunch of the other high up devs were being interviewed on I think it was like around Star Citizen or whatever the Thursday or Friday 1 hour show is.
Star Citizen Live is the Friday.
Star
show.
Citizen Live.
Yeah.
Okay. He made a comment and he was talking in techno jargon, but I think it was Super Mac Brother was saying that somebody else with knowledge of that techno babble basically said, yeah, what Mark Abbott was saying is that essentially iCache is in the game and they're working on, like, they're now developing how it interacts. So it's there.
So the background tech is there, but it's not being used yet.
Correct.
yeah,
So because the big concern was, when will we get iCache? And now it's like, that was Mark Abbott actually saying, we have it. Now we're just figuring out how to implement it.
Yeah, we're plugging all the front end systems into it now to make
It's like, okay, tech is there. We just now need to make it compatible with the other tech.
But that's a huge step, because some people were saying like iCache isn't going to be possible. So that just proves that it is possible and it's being done.
All the tech is definitely possible. Like we've moved fully past the plausible stage. CIG has already said, Chris Roberts himself has already said that we already have baselines for all of the major tech that we need. It's no longer a question of if but when.
Cool.
So
as well as and that's like, I would say there's probably still a bit of if. Actually, no, it is a when, and that is just the compatibility thing, because like, you gotta make the tech work with this tech, it's like, okay, and if it doesn't work, then you gotta change something, and that it can still work. It just means that it's gonna take a little longer for it to work.
Yeah, I mean it's
So that's a win,
still
yeah.
gonna be it's still gonna be a long and arduous road for all the developers and the coders and programmers and all this shit to get
Right, but the
over
fact that we
the
actually
bottom
have it
It's
there,
not gonna suddenly be a cakewalk now.
no.
Yeah, not even close. But we're still going to get there. It's just like I said, whether it takes it could be like, okay, hey, we think we'll hit this in 1 month, and then they hit some snag. Shit, we've got to code all the way around this. We've got to recode this section entirely because it doesn't play with this other system well, and then we have to take care of this edge case because that just fucks everything up. And suddenly you're looking at 6 months more on top of until you can deliver that product. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. It's going to take them longer to do it. And that's pretty much Star Citizen in a nutshell. I mean, these are the same guys who they want to have a fully operational fire system to where stuff will catch on fire based on the material type it is, how flammable it is inside of your ship while you're in space, and have that fully interact with what kinds of gases are around and what's going on. Are you in space?
They're recreating fire in a video game.
Fires themselves will also go and produce poisonous gas, i.e. CO2 and smoke and all that shit, so you would have to be wearing safety gear when dealing with large enough fires, yada yada. I mean, literally, they're going to this level of detail for this shit. And this is kind of across the board. This isn't like unique level of detail. This is the level of detail they're going to.
Yeah, it's not. That's not a like. Okay, it's just for this thing. No, that is their standard for everything. Is that level of detail where they need everything to be a certain way.
Or things like where it's like, hey, your life support system on a ship can only, it's like your crew size is X amount. You might be able to support a few more than that, but it's like if you have too many people on your ship all breathing in that good oxygen, after a while, then the amount of oxygen being produced is going to be worn out, and you're going to have to switch to suit oxygen, or people are going to start passing out and dying.
Yep.
Like this is the levels they're going to,
and it's awesome. Moving on to it, the next topic is not a good one. And Pokemon Go now shows possible content of its loot box style eggs. So we got loot boxes and more loot boxes.
Pokemon Go?
Pokemon Go, the like mobile phone Pokemon game.
Who owns it?
Nintendo. Pokemon Nintendo?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So the developer is Niantic. Publisher is, of course, Nintendo.
Yeah, Niantic. Niantic, the company behind Pokemon Go, has raised a new $245 million funding round at a $4 billion value. Whatever the hell that means. But yeah, it's Niantic. So yeah, we got loot boxes now in the form of eggs, and Nintendo's pretty much like, or Niantic, I should say, whichever, either or, was going like, no, they're not loot boxes. It's almost like the whole, it's like EA comparing loot boxes to Kinder eggs and surprise mechanics all over again.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
No,
It's especially with any kind of a larger company, it's almost like they literally cannot help themselves from getting sweaty hands and solving with like, we can get more money.
take 343 and Microsoft.
Like,
Even they're not, they're doing it too. I mean, they're not doing loot boxes, but they're doing the same type of predatory monetization in the form of taking away customization from the player in order to monetize it in their multiplayer.
Yes, and then sell it back to the player.
Right.
Randomly.
Yes.
You might get something. You might get a pile of shit. Who knows? Give us your money.
We don't know. It could. We don't know if it's in a loot box format or not. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, Pokemon Go's loot box style eggs can now show a list of their possible content. A first for the nearly 5-year-old game. Because now they show the contents, the possible contents that are in the loot boxes. So this way they're not loot boxes. But I mean, come on.
No, it's still loot boxes.
This is worse than gambling. We've gone on hour-long rants.
You know what I remember Pokemon Go most for?
I've never played it.
When
So.
I was still in the army at the time when it was in its heyday, and we actually got a briefing, at least one briefing, where we were reminded that we are not allowed to go into unauthorized areas, even for catching Pokemon. Like literally, they had to give it. Now, bear in mind, the army, especially the government, especially, but the army, especially, oftentimes has to bring things down to a very stupid level. I mean,
Of course.
I had some money suicide.
It wouldn't be the army otherwise.
Myself.
Look.
I remember that going down also because they were the military in general was briefing people because you had civilians trying to get access to military bases.
Yeah.
Because the game was telling them there were Pokemon on the base.
Yeah, and it's like that's
Question.
great now. You can turn around and go away now. Bye.
Question: What happens if what happens if the game tells you there's Pokemon in a strip club?
I mean, as long as you're of age and
people trying to go in
whatever.
Go.
Anyways, I'm gonna bow out here, guys. I gotta go find something to eat. I'll see you guys later.
All right, take care.
All right, catch you later, Colson.
But yeah, I mean, this is. So clicking on the egg will now, clicking on the loot box will now show a table of possible contents which differ between egg type and regular change as the game cycles through events featuring specific creatures. And I've never played Pokemon Go, so I have no fucking clue how any of this works or like what I'm even reading right now. But I mean, I can understand what a loot. I know a loot box when I see one. I can hear this. Looks a lot like a loot box right here, where they are showing the opening. Here, so I guess this is what they're showing here, right here on the screen. So, yeah, you can pay real money. I read another article earlier today saying you can pay real money to either speed up the incubation of an egg, so essentially like get the loot box faster, or you wait real time.
I mean, who doesn't want to pay extra just to get your loot box sooner, right?
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, people.
But here, Niantic support says, Trainer, we're excited to share that we're starting testing where a limited number of trainers will be able to see which Pokemon may hatch from the eggs in their inventory. Trainers included in the test will be able to tap an egg to see a list of possible Pokemon and their rarity levels. Please note this will not show if the Pokemon may be shiny. Cue your Firefly shiny. And yeah, so that's. Here's what the hell is this about? We should talk about Pokemon Go's loot boxes. But yeah, pretty much this is. I mean, you got loot boxes in mobile games. Big surprise. We say that like it's normal, and unfortunately it is, and it shouldn't be. But here and so here's Nintendo Life. So Niantic testing Pokemon Go feature that reveals what's inside its loot box style Easter egg. Even Nintendo Life is calling it boxes.
Details.
Yeah. I will put the link to all these articles in the comment section. Over. But yeah, this is just why are we having fucking loot boxes in Pokemon games?
Because we need more of your money.
Niantic disclosed
people pay for them. That's why.
Yeah,
it is
because you got whales, right? That's what they call them, the whales.
Well, it's companies have to make money.
Yes, but there are better ways of going about it.
A tried and true way for a company to make money. So until it stops being profitable, then companies are going to continue to do it.
True. Trainers are calling for Niantic to disclose loot box odds. Okay, so this is older articles earlier last year. Going into the loot box thing here. Now they are disclosing the odds, but it's like that doesn't change the fact it's still loot box, and you're probably not going to get a lot of the odds that they show anyways.
Yeah, pretty much.
And while on the topic of loot boxes,
Anything with that?
German Parliament says it wants games with loot boxes rated 18 and up, then backtracks. So, first of all, before we continue, rated 18, any game with loot boxes should be rated 18 and up. That's just a no-brainer. This is not this. Gambling is actually better than loot boxes. Like you know the odds in gambling. You don't know the odds in loot boxes, and at least with gambling, you're getting something real world equivalents, right? Like real world money, monetary equivalent.
So
Supposedly.
you had the chance to gain something of value that you can then trade for something else. of
Exactly.
value.
Whereas in loot boxes, you're not getting anything of value. Yeah, you're sure you're getting a digital thingy, but you can't sell it. You can't give it back or trade it or anything.
Oh, you could always go on eBay if there's trading.
Yeah. Well, the gray market is a beautiful place.
Not saying it's good, but
I was gonna say the gray market's a beautiful place, but let's not go there. Bringing it in, so yeah, the article saying bringing it in line with similar laws in Belgium. So the German Bundestag has now revised its announcement, removing the line. It is also planned to deactivate cost traps such as loot boxes by default. While it appears that age rating guidelines will be expanded to include descriptors for loot boxes and other so-called Kaufmannsreisen, there is now no suggestion that loot boxes will be given an 18 and up rating by default, which it should be. It totally should. Hell, actually, gambling's what, 21 and up actually, depending on the state. So it should be rated 21 and up, but
yeah. But there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's fucking gambling.
it is. Hell, it even it has the same type of addictions as gambling. It's actually no, it has worse addictions because unlike gambling, it's got like this animation and everything where what we were reading that article last year in July about that kid that was addicted. He knew it was wrong. He knew he shouldn't be doing it. He knew he was wasting, but he couldn't stop because he needed to do it for the buzz, like the animation and everything.
It's literally an addiction.
Yeah, and we know for a fact that
Literally.
these companies do psychological research into how to best make these loot boxes better for monetary gain for their purposes.
Yep. And it's like that's literally what a casino does, except that for some reason it's legal for this shit to be targeting kids. That literally, it's like what the fuck?
Yeah, and at least with gambling, you can actually make money out of it. Like with a slot machine, a slot machine, you're the one controlling when to pull the lever. When you don't have any control with the loot box. Press a button, that's it. Everything is taken. All the control is taken away from you when you press that button to purchase it or activate it or whatever. Whether you're paying real money or not is irrelevant. Whereas a slot machine, at least you're the one pulling the lever. The equivalent, the analogy here would be, I guess, the loot box and the slot machine. You pay money for both, but when you put the money in for the slot machine, you're the one pulling the lever. Whereas the second you put the money in for the loot box, it does it for you. You lose control. Now, again, it's not a great analogy, and honestly, gambling in itself is not great. But again, at least there is a chance to make something back. Loot boxes, you're not making anything back. You're just giving away money, essentially.
Loot boxes feeds into the instant feel of gratification, and that can be a dangerous thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
On March 5th, Germany's federal parliament on the Bundestag, or whatever. I'm not gonna try. I'm butchering the words. I don't care. Passed a reform bill that could see games containing loot boxes given an 18 and up age rating. German authorities have been looking into regulations regarding Kaufmannsreisen, a broad term for purchasing incentives that include loot boxes and similar ways of encouraging players to spend additional money on games. Since a 2018 study by the University of Hamburg stated that elements of gambling had become common in modern video games. Really, you don't say. Before the bill is passed, it will have to be ratified by the The Bundesrat, a legislative body that representing Germany, states, so it's not a sure thing yet. The reform bill would amend the I'm not even try the Protection of Young Persons Act, which regulates the sales of games and movies to minors, as well as alcohol, tobacco, gambling, and the premises that offer them. In 2008, the act was amended to restrict video games and excessive gore and violence, nicknamed Killerspiel, from sale to players under the age of 18, which resulted in publishers amending games for German release, swapping red blood for black, which I don't see how that makes it better, honestly, considering how blood can be so dark it looks black at times. And sometimes replacing human enemies with robots, as in Armageddon. Okay. On a related note, Germany's infamous ban on the use of symbols relating to unconstitutional groups in video games, which prevented swastikas and other Nazi symbols being used, was lifted in 2018, which is why, Wolfenstein, the New Order, like you have old Hitler, but they removed the mustache and made him not look like Hitler for the German release. A broad restriction on purchasing incentives might see games with loot boxes similarly altered for German release, or publishers might simply bite the bullet and release them as is and accept the 18 and up rating. Either compromise would put a dent in revenues in a country that's one of the largest markets for video games in Europe, with in-game spending up to 3.9 billion euros, which is $4.2 billion in 2019. Loot boxes make a fuck ton of money. It's sick. But yeah, I mean, this isn't okay. I mean, I think they should have a 21 and up rating like gambling. Although, do games even have a 21 and up rating? Like, is there such a thing? Because I know there's PEGI for the UK and Europe. There's PEGI 18, and in the States that would be rated M.
There's a 17 and up rating, which is essentially your standard rating. But then I think there is like an X rating or something, which very few games ever get, just because it limits them in a lot of ways. So they always try to go for the one step lower for just like the M rating. But with that, I believe you do have to be like 21 to buy it or something. I forgot what exactly constitutes it. This was a couple years back that I last heard about that, but I do think I remember hearing something like that.
Because I know the UK and obviously other countries in Europe they use the PEGI system instead of where we use the like where it's like rated T versus rated M. They use like rated PEGI 16 or PEGI 18, stuff like that. So, but I don't know. I don't think there is a PEGI 21.
Yeah, remember, chainsawing someone in half is all good family fun, but as soon as you see a titty, whoa!
Yeah, that's America, and then it's the opposite in other countries. Because the other countries, it's like, okay, boobs are fine, nudity's fine, but gore, oh no.
Yeah, you see any blood? No, can't have it.
Whereas in States, it's you can have all the blood and gore and violence. You can the more than you can use and you can see in a lifetime, but female nipples will ruin civilization for generations. Oh, yay.
Well, I mean, in a way, they're not wrong. A beautiful woman can end a country.
That's true. Two guys fight over each other, third guy gets involved, next thing you know, the entire country's at war. Yeah, next thing you know, the entire country's at war because all these guys wanted the same woman. But on the topic of...
It's like, what, we couldn't have like a schedule to share?
You get her on the weekends. I get her every Wednesday. Bob gets her on Tuesdays, and Joe and Jack get her on Fridays and Thursdays. I don't fucking know. Anyway, we also have EA investigating employee potentially selling rare FIFA Ultimate Team cards, aka loot boxes. Like, I guess illegally? This one was weird. Also, Victor says you heard
loot boxes.
Victor in the chat also asked, you heard of that Pokemon prequel coming out? There's a Pokemon prequel coming out?
I haven't heard shit.
I haven't heard. And he also says EA would explode. What about Doom? What do you mean, what about Doom? Doom doesn't have Nazis in it. Oh, you mean for like the gratuitous violence? I mean, that's good. Did they have to censor that too? I guess, yeah.
You just see instead of
Instead of
blood,
demons,
you
it's
see
Nazis.
confetti.
So
It's
that would make it
confetti
Wolfenstein.
style.
If you replace the demons with Nazis, it just makes it Wolfenstein. Remember, Wolfenstein and Doom were pretty much like the same type of game way back in the 90s. Right, so yeah, last week was the dynamic difficulty loot box lawsuit against EA was dropped due to the fact that EA showed them probably a bunch of bullshit about it, saying like, oh, it's not actually using AI to make players buy more loot boxes, it's just to make sure they're not bored, which is a load of shit.
Yeah.
Then the German legal reform poses a new threat to loot boxes, but as since then we just covered as has been dropped also, or edited rather, so it's not going to change it to 18 and up. But I mean, according to GamesIndustry.biz, loot boxes generated $20 billion, will generate $20 billion by 2020.
Yep, that's why companies keep deciding to
Exactly.
use it, because it's really from
unlike Disney, the gaming industry is in it for the money.
yeah. A company puts themselves at a disadvantage if they don't take advantage of it, really.
But EA investigating so here's that story last week, and it continues this week. So I'm just trying to get the articles. So EA investigating allegations of employees selling rare FIFA Ultimate Team cards. So apparently some guy was one of the employees was selling these Ultimate Team cards directly to players, and he was getting all the profit from it. So essentially, so instead of, Android Wilson, I just said Android Wilson, Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA, getting all the money from the loot boxes, this guy was. Yeah, one example shows an offer of 3 Prime Icon Moment cards, whatever the fuck that means. Ones that mark a particular game or tournament that was particularly special to the featured footballer, and 2 Team of the Year cards for 1,000 euros. Another offers 3 cards for 1,700 euros. These are so this guy's charging up the wazoo. I wonder if anyone actually
but these are super rare cards, right?
I guess, yeah, but still.
I mean, does it surprise anyone that, given the opportunity, someone will take advantage? It doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's not that I don't agree with it, but I'm not surprised it happened.
I don't think any of us here do. The seller claims that they have a friend at EA who can deliver the cards and only needs the buyer's PSN ID in order to be able to add them to their account. Pictures of these conversations also show buyers confirming the sale worked. Electronic Arts has responded via a statement on Twitter and is looking into the matter. Statement on Twitter reads, "We are aware of the allegations currently circulating within our community related to FIFA 21 Ultimate Team items. A thorough investigation is underway, and if we identify improper conduct, we will take swift action. We want to be clear: this type of behavior is unacceptable, and we in no way condone what is alleged to have happened here."
I got bounced. See you guys.
All right, see ya. We understand how this creates concern about unfair balance and in the game and competition. We will update the community as we get more clarity on this. Oh crap, that just closed out the article. But yeah, it's So pretty much some guy was selling loot boxes, or pretty much selling loot boxes to people that were super rare. Come on, push. I'm just switching over from push to talk this way. I don't constantly like go down here. But yeah, and apparently this is so this is post to that article we just read. I think investigation. Nope, never mind. Same thing. Good. Yeah. So apparently the story broke from Eurogamer. It is just. Was it FIFA Ultimate Team has come under fire over the last few years for its player packs, a randomized monetization mechanic at some point as the prime example of loot boxes. Electronic Arts currently faces 2 class action lawsuits, one in the US and one in Canada, claiming Ultimate Team violates gambling laws because it does. A third lawsuit accusing the publisher of using patented dynamic difficulty technology to weaken purchased cards and compel players to buy more has been dropped, covered last week. So yeah, it's annoying because like here is a system monetization that's being used to the detriment of the player and to the benefit of the company, and now we have people literally taking advantage of that and now screwing both the company and the player. Not that I care that the company being screwed over, but you're still screwing over the player and for more money now. EA confirms one or more accounts involved in FIFA Ultimate Team scandal. This is, I guess, a follow-up on the story, which came out this week. Publisher temporarily disables content granting as it investigates accusations of employees selling rare cards. EA said it was launching a thorough investigation, and an update confirms that FIFA Ultimate Team items were not earned through gameplay and have been granted to some players. It appears that one or more EA accounts which were either compromised or being used inappropriately by someone within EA directly entitled items to these individual accounts, the update reads. The alleged behavior is unacceptable and in no way do we condone granting or purchasing player items in exchange for money. That's a laugh. This practice runs counter to the game's competitive integrity, that's also a laugh, is a violation of EA's user agreement, and is not something we tolerate. We do not allow the trade or sale of items outside our game for many reasons, including that it would create an unequal playing field for our community. Investigation still ongoing. Once it's complete, EA says it will take action and all that nonsense. Pretty much. So they're just finding out that, so the accusations are true. Someone within EA was selling these team card packs things, whatever the fuck they are. And so that's really the story. Not super dramatic, but so it's news nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
Publisher emphasized that this system exists primarily for testing and quality verification. EA concluded, regardless of these actions, we appreciate how concerning this is to all of our players, and we apologize for the impact of these improper grants within the community. We also appreciate how extremely annoying and frustrating it is that this practice might have come from within EA. We're angry too. We know that the trust of our communities is hard-earned and is based on principles of fair play. This illicit activity shakes that trust. What trust? We've also been clear since the creation of Ultimate Team that items cannot be exchanged outside our game, and that's key to how we keep our game safe from manipulation and bad actors. This is a breach of that principle and we won't let it stand. I mean, look, yeah, some guy was. What was happening? Yeah, it's wrong either way, but it's not like you guys are. It's kind of just it's a riot because like here you have a guy within the company making money, just him exclusively by selling things that they're not supposed to be sold in game, and he's just granting them the players that pay him, and now EA is talking about how like that's not what we're about, even though that's exactly what you do, except instead of one guy getting, except for this one guy getting paid, just CEO gets paid, or really the executives as a whole. I don't think it's just Android Wilson. I think it's all the executives get paid. But I know that money ain't going to the developers. So that's annoying.
Yeah.
And EA soon will release. So on a different note here, though, we got EA will soon release new technology to tackle racism and toxicity in FIFA 21. Looks like FIFA 21 has a fuck ton of problems.
That's how I feel about it. Just,
Yeah. Just wow. Publisher has banned over 9,000 accounts and issues over 25,000 warnings or suspensions over since October launch. Electronic Arts has promised to increase its efforts in tackling the racist elements of its FIFA community, including new technologies that will be added to FIFA 21 in the next few months. The publisher was responding to an investigation by Eurogamer, which highlighted the extent of the ongoing issue in the best-selling football franchise. Yeah, best-selling. Because it's the only one. You can't call it the best-selling football series when they have exclusive rights over all the sports franchises. Football, American football, baseball, not baseball, but or basketball, because Take-Two also makes basketball and baseball games. But at least football they have, and both footballs they have exclusivity over. You know, Madden and with FIFA. An EA spokesperson emphasized the work the publisher is doing to address the problem, and such as automatic filters to block profane text. But the firm recognized more needs to be done. We're committed. Yeah, you know, we just had experience in our own chat tonight with what automatic censors can do. They censored G2CU. Good to see you. Are you fucking kidding me? Also, who makes these rules about what gets censored? Them? I don't trust them. Like, them being EA. But here, we're committed to continuously advancing our tools and solutions to address new challenges, including more intelligent monitoring and migration technology that will be released in the coming months. No further details on this new technology were given at the time. The publisher added that it takes all reports seriously and regularly actions against our findings. What? Takes all reports seriously and regularly actions against our findings. Since FIFA 21 launched in October, the company has banned over 9,000 accounts and issued over 25,000 warnings and suspensions based on reports of offensive and inappropriate content. The problems center around FIFA's Pro Clubs Online multiplayer mode, which allows players to name their own clubs and footballers. Something many have abused to present racist, homophobic, and otherwise toxic terms to their opponents. I just hate that word, toxic. Like, whenever they use it, anything they don't agree with is toxic. And Eurogamer reports seeing screenshots of FIFA 21 Pro Club team names supporting the English Defence League, a far-right Islamophobic organization, and mocking the Black Lives Matter movement. So essentially people are trying to make jokes, and that's not okay. Okay, that being said though, I can understand, like, okay, political jokes, no, not in our game, fine. You know? Like saying, UK sucks, like, is your team, right? I can understand that, no, that's not okay. But, like, you can't, like, where does it stop, you know? Like, what if you name your team, like, you know, My Balls Itch? But, like, you use, you know, like, is that not okay?
all this is kind of just a running commentary on the quality of individuals that live nowadays. How about we just fight to eliminate hate crimes against people in general? Just everybody. It's really just a way for media outlets to it's for a story, yeah. It's for a way for them to gather a group of people who follow them and consume the stories that they put out so they can make money. That's what it Yeah. Yeah, they have to have a narrative. Otherwise, their viewership goes down. They don't make as much money from their ads. You know what really bothers me is that people have to come out and say that they're against it. Otherwise, it's assumed that they're for it. I don't understand that. Well, if you don't verbally say you condemn it, then you must be supporting. Yeah. Yeah. In about 20 minutes, I gotta go. So, is there any big topics we want? Yeah, have you watched it yet? Okay. Yeah, that's ridiculous. It's kind of sad because that game could have been something decent. Right. Yeah, but they're not quality games. I watched some gameplay from it. The visuals looked decent, but the actual gameplay looked horrible. I think I vaguely remember that game. Well, you know, you said that grinding is not fun. I don't agree with that completely. Grinding is fun if it's built on gameplay that's fun. Like Diablo 2, I spent way too much time playing that. Well, the idea behind grinding is that you have to do tasks over and over and over and over and over to get something that you're working for. So yeah, I mean it's grinding. I still enjoy it, but it's still grinding. Well, but those things could be fun if the gameplay associated with the grind was fun. But since the gameplay isn't fun, then the grind is going to be terrible. Yeah, it'll be real quick, like 10 words. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, make some decent games and more people will buy them. I've never been a sports fan, so that's sports games are not on my radar. I think what he means is shareholders are ready for it. One of the people in Discord said they can't hear you in the stream.
Oh fuck! I was muted. Ah, you gotta be fucking kidding me, Victor Wolfon. I wonder why that was. It just muted me again. Because I was on. I went to voice activity. I said I was going to. Victor Wolfong, Demon Nazi. He says, "Oh, regarding the whole like if they replace demon Nazis and demons and Doom would be not Nazis, it would just be Wolfenstein. Just the concept alone needs not a punch but a face fisting. Demon Nazis? Well, isn't that just what zombies are? Like Nazi zombies from Call of Duty?" Victor says my audio has been out for a while. That's not. Now it's 12:32 and it's 12:57. That's not. I need to fix that. I don't know what that was. Like I know for a fact I was not on push to talk.
Maybe you have a binding or something.
Maybe I accidentally hit my push to talk key and that reset it. I don't know. But yeah, what we were talking about before is the Twitch thing. It's like why is Twitch getting involved? In case you guys didn't hear that before. Talking about the Avengers. Oh, I got to do the whole Avengers. Pretty much. I played the Avengers game. It sucks. The gameplay is literally the worst part of the game. Yeah, but my audio is always cutting out for you on Discord.
Yeah, it always is.
Yeah, so. But like the story for Avengers sucks. And the gameplay is so horrible. I couldn't bring myself to finish it. The only reason I have the game is because I was going to do a review on it. I just never did. But it's just, and now I have everyone in the chat. Wolfart's in the chat too. Hey Wolfart. You're allowed to laugh at my expense. But yeah, the whole thing with the Avengers game, that was just like, yeah, okay, cool, you're getting the movie suits. Who cares? Like, you guys didn't hear about this. Alright, well, with the Avengers game, the Steam, according to Steam, the player count has dropped below 500. And because again, it doesn't help that you have Spider-Man in the game. Like the gameplay sucks, so even Spider-Man's in it doesn't mean anything. But Spider-Man's a PlayStation exclusive on a multi-platform game, so that's another like kick in the nuts for players that have the game. And it's just the gameplay's not fun. As Data and I were talking about, grinding, like it feels like a grind, feels like work to play this game, and it shouldn't. Like that's what it felt like to me. Like I felt like, okay, I'm doing this because I have to do it for my channel, which is effectively my job now. But that's the thing. It's like it was work. It wasn't fun. By no means was it fun. And Victor is saying, look at the Discord, which he means our company Discord. I will look at it later, sir, because right now I'm sharing the. I'm just sticking to push to talk for. I know I'm talking or not. Yeah, the Avengers thing, like, who cares? The game lost like $30-something million or $40-something million within the first few weeks because of how awful it is, and rightfully so. In terms of the whole like BAFTA stuff, if you guys, in case you guys didn't hear that when we were talking about the BAFTA awards with the what they're talking about, like now, Last of Us 2 is gonna win the BAFTA because everything is going on. I might cover it if I'm able to on Thursday. It depends on what time Thursday, but I might be able to cover it. Data, maybe you'll be able to join me. I don't know. But it's essentially like, hey, here's this woke game that, of course, is gonna win all the awards because it checks off all the blue checks, right?
If that's what the games are gonna be, then I'm probably gonna skip it.
Well, we'll find out. And the game is pretty much just a woke piece of garbage. And in case you guys didn't hear me, like the games that were nominated, out of all the games that I've seen there, I haven't played any of them, but I would say Half-Life Alyx or Ghost of Tsushima deserves it more than Last of Us. Because Last of Us, in terms of a game, isn't really like it's one of those story-driven ones, right? Like where like heavily story, where it's almost like an interactive movie, right? More so than a game. That's the type of game it is, isn't it? But anyway, yeah. So pretty much, Strauss Zelnick, CEO of Take-Two, wants to make a game $70 or £65 if you're okay, as a normal now, because he thinks that customers and gamers are now ready for it, even because the frontline price of games hasn't increased since 2005, 2006, and therefore it must change again, so that so the shareholders and I can have more money in our pockets. That's pretty much what that translates into. And because I was muted, what I was saying is one of us here on Cast and Shadows, Coolios, he's in Canada, and $70 in Canada is $100. So if that's not okay, like no one's gonna, like very little people are gonna buy a game. No, it's $100. Now you're talking like special edition shit, you know? If you're gonna sell a game for $100, you better include some like statues and stuff and like models or something in the in that packaging. And of course, there were let's see. Of course, there were considerably fewer microtransactions and DLC in mainstream games back then, and increasingly, he could not be drawn on future pricing on other next-gen titles, saying the publisher made announcements about pricing on a title-by-title basis. He did, however, insist that the company was committed to delivering more value than we can charge. We haven't said anything about pricing other titles so far, and we tend to make announcements on a title-by-title basis, but I think our view is that we want to always deliver more value than we charge. Make sure the customer has the experience and the experience of paying for it. Both are positive experiences. Sure they are. And that's another thing too, is like, okay, you have DLCs and microtransactions now, or I should say macrotransactions. Anything above $1 is not micro. Those were not in games in 2005 and 2006. I mean, DLCs, yes, but DLCs were actually like expansions on the game. Like they added content. Right now, DLCs are more like pieces of the game that were cut out to be sold later. And as for microtransactions, we're not going into that now. Be here forever. But that's, I mean, like now you're going to charge $70 and then charge nickel and dime them when they have the game in their console or PC again? No way. We all know anecdotally that even if you love a customer experience, if you feel you were overcharged for it, it ruins the experience. You don't want to have it again. If you go to a great restaurant, a really fine restaurant, you have a great meal and great service, then you get a check that's double what you think it should be, you're never going back. Don't tell that to me going to Kosher Cosmo. So we always want to make sure that customers feel like we deliver much more than we ask in return, and that's true of our current customer spending as well. Zelnick continues, we're an entertainment company. We're here to captivate and engage customers, and if we do that, then monetization follows. Except that, let's be honest, the only quality game you guys have delivered in the last decade is Red Dead Redemption 2 and Grand Theft Auto 5. $2K came under fire from NBA 2K21 players for adding unskippable in-game adverts at the end of last year. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was also in 2K19. In unskippable ads in a video game that you paid $60 for, or in the case of 2K21, $70 for.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Imagine you're flying around Star Citizen and you're in combat, and all of a sudden, like, Manscaped, buy your shaver today. You'd probably punch a hole through your monitor because you blow up when the ad's over. In the end, 2K was forced to issue a statement suggesting their placement was a mistake. In a statement issued on Twitter, 2K said, the ad that sparked the backlash earlier this week impacted our players' experience in a way we didn't intend, as these ads are not meant to run as part of the pre-game introduction. No, right, they're supposed to be playing during the regular game, I'm sure. That doesn't make it better. Like, you shouldn't have... This is just... There's so many problems here. So many. But what do you guys think in the chat? Let me know. Also, you want to just move on to the Snyder Cut now?
Yeah, I need to do that real quick.
Yeah. So last topic. Let me just change the topic. I'll start talking.
What'd you say? Oh, okay. So
I haven't
no
seen it.
spoilers.
No spoilers. We'll do that later.
So
later date.
it's a long movie. So if you want to watch the whole thing, set aside about 4 hours, because I think it's it's a little bit longer than 4 hours. I only have a few criticisms of it. They're not really criticisms, just things I noticed. One is there's a couple places where the music was kind of annoying, I guess.
Like obnoxiously loud type.
I mean, it's 4 hours, so it. I feel
Everything's
for whoever had to
obnoxious
write
then.
the music, because that's a long time. And also, since they, I think they redid or added some CGI for some shots, and they didn't have as much money to work with this, so some of the shots might be a little bit underwhelming, or I didn't really notice it except for in a couple places. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. It's way better than the theatrical release. And I'm not a comic book fan, but a couple of things that really stood out to me was one, was that they didn't pull any punches when it came to well, I guess it's just the violence of the movie. You know, I hate movies that have people getting smacked around and nothing happens to them. There's
Right,
no consequence.
like it's like
In this
okay,
movie,
they got
if,
shot, but they're not really like they're not
yeah,
hurt.
one
They're
little
not.
bug gets hit and flies into the wall. You know, there's a splat there because the bug just died. I personally enjoy little additions like that because it feels more immersive to me anyway. My personal opinion. You really need to watch it so I can hear what you think.
Yeah, and this way we can do the spoiler review probably either tomorrow night or probably sometime next week. Just because this coming week is very, very strenuous week. I'm not even sure I'll be able to live stream Tuesday night.
I know a lot of people didn't like what's his name that played Batman?
Oh, Ben Affleck. You know, I liked him as Batman in BVS. I didn't like him in Justice League.
I know they didn't like him, but his face at least makes me think of Bruce Wayne. That's who I imagine Bruce Wayne as an older person looks like.
I gotta show you some that Alex Ross art then, because you know it isn't fully off, but yeah, it's. But yeah,
Anyway,
no, I think he did a good job.
One.
I think he did a good job in BVS, but again, I have to see the Snyder cut because in the Whedon cut, right, the theatrical version of the film, it is just like that. That ain't Batman. That ain't the Bat. Like making jokes, and his plan is to just suicide, run into the giant nest of parademons, and die fighting while the rest of the team he assembled do nothing. Like.
Well, if you take it from the perspective that he realizes that he's getting old and he can't do all the things that he used to do, then to save the world, I can totally see him sacrificing himself.
True, but you'd think, okay, he has a team that he assembled just for this, and now he's telling them to wait here while I go die.
No, he's saying you guys have a task that you have to take care of that I can't do. I'm gonna do what I can. Don't worry about me. That's what I got. Anyway, there are some scenes at the end of the Snyder cut that were not in the theatrical release, and it really it makes me sad that there's not going to be a second movie because I think it had
Oh,
potential to keep
did they
going.
tease a sequel? Because I don't like that. Did they tease it?
Anyway, good talk. I got to run.
All right, and I think I'm gonna end the episode here, anyways.
What was that you cut out again?
Oh, well, I was saying I'm gonna end the episode here, anyways, just because I just wanted to cover the topics. We went on a while for Star Citizen anyway, so that's good. But yeah, we'll be doing a full spoiler review at some point. It'll probably be probably sometime next week. I don't know. I just know that I have to actually get off myself here because I got a really busy day tomorrow, and Monday is going to be extremely annoying. Tomorrow is already bad enough. Monday's going to be a pain in the ass. So, yeah, everyone, for everyone, whether you're watching this live or catching this on the rerun, thank you so much for tuning in because we wouldn't be able to do any of this without you, and it means a lot that you guys are watching and actually listen to us. And it's good to see people in the chat. Victor, Wolfheart, Floyd Looney, Tehilum29, MegaGenie1. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's good to see you. And Victor, I saw your thing. I dig it. I will give you my notes and opinions on it after I'm done here. But yeah, this has been episode 19 of Casting Shadows, and until next time. Also, yeah, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you have, make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube hates us all and unsubscribes people from channels. A lot of the time from us. And if you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down and tell us what you didn't like in the comment section below because we can't improve without feedback. And we can try, but it's not really very good. And yeah, until next. And if you want to support the channel in a more personal way, of course, we have our merch store where you can get silly things. Discord there, like the Star Wars is Dead T-shirt or just stuff with our logo on it. Eventually, I'm gonna have to put stuff with our org logo on it. You can get this handicapped gaming shirt or a mug. Just a disclaimer: the leggings do not come with the girl. I also have an eBay store, which I will be adding a new poster to the eBay store shortly, and that is my Batmobile, which you guys can see here. So this will soon be purchasable on my eBay store, along with a Spider-Man thing that I'm doing. Yeah, you can support the channel in the most personal way. And until next time, this has been... Yeah, so that's going to end it for now. So until next time, this has been Mando, Merc, I think we had Cam and Call Sign earlier, and Data of Casting Shadows. And remember to treat others